All right. Well, welcome to your City Hall. It is 6 p.m. on April 21st, 2026, and I'm going to call the City of Iowa City meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Alter. Here. Burgess.
Here.
Harmson.
Here.
Mo.
Here.
Saleh.
Here.
T.
Here.
Weiland.
Here.
All right. Well, again, welcome to your City Hall to those of you that are here in council chambers and to those that are joining us virtually. Welcome as well. We're going to get started on item number 2, proclamations. 2A is Arab American Heritage Month, and this will be read by Councilor Mazahir Salah.
Whereas Arab Americans have contributed to the culture, economic, and civic life for the United States for generations, with impact across fields such as business, education, healthcare, public service, and the art. And whereas the Arab American community reflects a rich range of culture, language, and traditions that continue to shape distinct communities across the nation. And whereas Iowa City is a home for vibrant and growing Arab American populations whose leadership, entrepreneurships, and community engagement enrich the characters and the vitality of our city. And whereas Arab American Heritage Month provide an opportunity to recognize these contributions, celebrate cultural heritage, and honor the stories and experiences that have helped shape our shared community. And whereas this observance also encourage greater understanding and connections while acknowledging the importance of fostering a city where all residents feel seen, valued, and respected. And whereas the city of Iowa City remains committed to building a welcome and growing community that promote mutual respect among all people, whereas they join all Americans in the desire to see a peaceful and diverse society where every individual treated equally and feels safe, and now, therefore, I, Mazahir Saleh, on behalf of our Mayor Bruce Teague, do hereby proclaim April 2026 to be Arab American Heritage Month in Iowa City, and encourage all the residents to join me in learning about the history, culture, and the contribution of Arab American, and in celebrating this many perspectives that strengthens our city. And here to accept is Vienna and Newman Aboisa. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank Mazahir. She is an Arab American. She is one of us. We really appreciate her service to our community. It's awesome that we have hundreds of Arab American families in Iowa City and around the state of Iowa. We came to this state more than 100 years ago, and we've integrated in this community for long times. We have the Mother Mosque in Cedar Rapids, not too far from here, and we have our church, St. George Orthodox Church in Cedar Rapids, which is more than 100 years old. So our community has integrated, and we lived Muslims and Christians together in this community and back home. We know that the American culture excluded Arabs for their contributions to humanity in the curriculum and in elsewhere. And Vienna was working with the city school district to adjust the curriculum to represent us as much as they represent other groups as well. So the Arab American history is very ancient. I come from Syria. I was just reading about Queen Zenobia 230 years before Christ, and she ruled the land from Tadmor, from Palmyra. And she was the ruler of the land extended from Persia out west to Rome. So we have a heritage of respecting women, respecting science, respecting contribution to humanity, and we also represent now peace in this community. We've worked for the Palestinian conflict in this community for a long time, and we we lobby for peaceful coexistence, unlike AIPAC, who lobbied for the Iraq War and for the war on Palestine, and now the war on Iran. And we have spent trillions of dollars on those wars for nothing, basically, for getting our reputation muddied in the whole globe. And now we see it around the globe, and our reputation in Europe, in Asia, and elsewhere in the country. So our community have a noble message for America, and we hope that America will support us, and we thank the City Council for approving this resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Newman.
Welcome.
Hi, my name is Karima Al-Kurti, and I'm from Tiffin. I am coming today from Tiffin to thank you, to thank every one of you for this recognition. I came here like more than 30 years ago. I'm originally from Algeria, North Africa, and we built a lot. Our children are born here and they're raised here. We're part of this community. We are so blessed to be here, and this is our community, and we're very happy to be here. And thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome.
Well, I appreciate Karima being here, driving from Tiffin. She got so excited to hear that we're getting this tonight. So thank you, Karima.
Yeah.
My name is Viana Kadura. Good evening, City Council members. We extend our sincere thanks tonight to Mayor Teague and the Iowa City Council for proclaiming April as an Arab American Heritage Month. At a time when many in our local Arab community are experiencing adversity and loss, this recognition is deeply meaningful. It affirms our presence in here and our dignity and our belonging to this city. Iowa's own history reflects a long-standing connection to Arab heritage. The city of Al-Qadr, which is the seat of Clayton County, just located northeast of Iowa, was named after Emir Abdul Qadir al-Jazairi, a 19th century figure admired for his courage and humanitarian values. So if I haven't known this, this is a city that's located here in Iowa. That legacy reminds us that Arab stories have been here and long been part of this state's fabric, long ago. And just a short distance from here in Cedar Rapids, as Newman mentioned, stands the Mother Mosque of America, which is the oldest purpose-built mosque in the United States, established by Arab Lebanese who came here hundreds of years ago. It is a powerful reminder that Arab American roots in Iowa are not recent, but deeply woven into the history of this state. We are grateful for all those who seize and celebrate our shared humanity, regardless of language, religion, skin color, or ethnicity. April is a National Arab American Heritage Month, a time to formally recognize the achievements and contributions of Arab Americans and to celebrate a rich heritage that continues to shape our world. From advances in medicine to modern innovators such as Huda Zubi in neuroscience, and Arab contributions span centuries. In literature and public thoughts, voices like Edward Said have profoundly shaped how we understand culture, identity, and representation, challenging stereotypes and advocating for truth and justice. Through his groundbreaking work, Orientalism, Said reshaped the global discourse and founded the field of post-colonial studies, leaving a lasting impact on scholarship and public life. Today, Arab Americans continue to serve at the highest levels of public life. Leaders such as Rashida Tlaib in Congress and many others demonstrate the growing presence and impact of Arab Americans in shaping national policy and civic life, building bridges between communities and advocating for equity and representations. These contributions are not footnotes, they are part of the foundation of our global society. Today, we honor that legacy with pride and gratitude. We are grateful for this proclamation as it stands as a reminder that we cannot erase the past to build our future, but we can celebrate it to help guide and strengthen what lies ahead of us. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Proclamation 2B, which is Arbor Day. And this is going to be read by Councilor Josh Moe.
Whereas the coming of spring produces a renewal of interest in tree planting for beauty, shade, conservation, and many other purposes beneficial to all people. And whereas the observation of Arbor Day has long been characterized by the planting and preservation of trees. And whereas trees in Iowa City beautify our community, increase property values, reduce pollution, lower energy costs, and enhance the economic vitality of businesses, areas. And whereas because trees absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen, having a diverse and healthy tree population constitutes a major part of Iowa City's effort to mitigate against climate change. And whereas trees can provide natural air conditioning, the evaporation from a single tree can produce the cooling effect of 10 room-size air conditioners operating 20 hours a day. And whereas evergreen trees can be used to reduce wind speed and thus loss of heat from our homes in the winter by as much as 10 to 50%. Now, therefore, I, Josh Moe, on behalf of Bruce Teague, Mayor of Iowa City, do hereby proclaim April 24th, 2026 to be Arbor Day in the city of Iowa City, and hereby urge all community members to participate in tree planting and preservation projects throughout the year. And accepting this award is Tyler Baird from our Parks and Forestry Department.
Welcome.
Thanks. Thank you, Councilor Moe and Mayor Teague and Council. We thank you for supporting funding for trees throughout the year, our forestry, part of our Parks and Forestry Division, and just in general, trees in our communities. We have, this proclamation is a key part of keeping our Tree City USA designation, and just a couple of weeks ago, we accepted our 46th year concurrently as Tree City USA. We also received this year a Growth Award, which is a set of standards above the baseline of Tree City USA. So we met those and met them again and again. Even we could have scored even higher on that than was required. And for the first year, we're also a Tree City of the World. So that's a newer program and something that we're glad to join communities all throughout the world. We recognize trees are very valuable to our communities. If you think about your neighborhoods, you probably think about a special tree or a forest, or when you grew up, the forest you played in, things like that. So really a strong connection communities have to trees and their memories. And we love to bring volunteers together to help plant trees. And I have to confess, we previewed this proclamation this morning. We had some volunteers helping us plant trees, shrubs, and also some prairie plugs at the Ashton House. So we just today had community members out there helping us and our staff. And I want to also thank our forestry staff and our park staff. We have what I would say has to be the most certified arborist of any community in the state. So across our city organization, we have 11 certified arborists, one of which is a master certified arborist, a few that also have their urban forest kind of specialty within that, and I believe 4 right now that have their tree risk assessment qualification as well. So staff really take forestry seriously and are always looking for ways to keep their education and things moving forward so we can serve the community. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. To see is National Apprenticeship Week, and this will be read by Councilor Sean Harmson.
Whereas National Apprenticeship Week is celebrating its 12th anniversary of raising awareness of the vital role registered apprenticeships provide in creating economic opportunities by allowing apprentices to earn while they learn and preparing a pathway to family-supporting careers in Iowa City and across the nation. And whereas the City of Iowa City joins with local affiliates of North America's Building Trades Unions, NABTU, as part of this national event to recognize the urgent need to prepare and maintain an inclusive, diverse, and highly skilled workforce that is capable of meeting the needs of the local construction industry. And whereas the City of Iowa City recognizes that registered apprenticeship is an industry-driven training model with a proven ability to improve job quality and skills, which will play a critical role in addressing our nation's most pressing workforce challenges as we rebuild our country's infrastructure, address critical supply chain demands, and support a clean energy future. And whereas our region is home to state-of-the-art building trades registered apprenticeship programs jointly administered by unions and contractors, in which workers are paid family-supporting wages with health care and retirement benefits while receiving debt-free comprehensive multi-year training in their craft. And whereas the City of Iowa City is proud to partner with the University of Iowa Labor Center, the Cedar Rapids Iowa City Building Trades Council, Dream City, and New Creations International Church to advance equitable pathways into building trades registered apprenticeship programs for residents of our city, including individuals who have been historically underserved, marginalized, and adversely affected by persistent poverty and inequality, thus strengthening our local economy. Now, therefore, I, Sean Harmson, on behalf of Bruce Teague, Mayor of Iowa City, do hereby proclaim April 26th through May 2nd, 2026 to be National Apprenticeship Week. And accepting is Bill Gerhardt.
Hey, thank you very much. I want Jaime Soto, one of the new faces of our leadership at Labor's Local 43, a business rep, to accept this.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. My name is Jaime Soto, a business agent for Labor's Local 43. I would please like to ask for all the apprentices to please stand up.
All right.
Wahoo!
As a labor that came through the apprenticeship program out west in Las Vegas, Nevada, I fully understand and appreciate the benefits of having this program. So for that, I would like to say thank you to the council and to the Iowa City for recognizing the apprenticeship program and for recognizing everybody that's here present, all of our apprentices. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Paul Iverson, the director of the University of Iowa Labor Center. And as Sean just read, we're proud to partner with the City of Iowa City and the Cedar Rapids Iowa City Building Trades, Dream City, and New Creations International Church in a quality pre-apprenticeship program, helping to bring people from communities that aren't reflected much in the skilled trades into skilled trades apprenticeship programs to increase the economic well-being of the community as a whole. I talked to a lot of graduates of our program, and the good news is most of them were working and couldn't make it here. But luckily, Herbert Whaley, who is a graduate of our program and an iron worker apprentice, was able to come today, and I'd like him to say a few words.
Great.
Hi, my name is Herbert Whaley. I have been in the local since last year of May, I think, maybe March. I don't even know. But still, this program has really brung like the impact that it should have been. You know, I really believe that everybody here that has finished, you know, the program is completely capable of going straight onto a job site. You know what I mean? I believe that if we keep on going with this program, it's just gonna keep on getting better. I believe that there is a little bit of a requirement to be in a labor or any type of union. Sometimes you have to know people, you know what I mean? Sometimes you have to have family members to be in there. Sometimes you just get joined in because you're the dad's son, you know? It's really hard to be not one of those people, you know what I mean? So this program really needs to keep on going. I really believe it. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to. Herbie, how old are you?
I am 19.
Oh, wow.
And what hourly wage are you making now?
I'm making 35.
Woo!
So excited for all of you to join and receive this proclamation. To all of our apprentices, really appreciate what you do. We're going to move on to 2D, National Library Week, and this is going to be read by Counselor Laura Burgess.
Whereas libraries are foundational to a thriving community, advancing literacy, education, and lifelong learning for people of all ages. And whereas libraries support the well-being of individuals and families by connecting people to critical resources, including mental health information, housing assistance, and economic opportunity. And whereas libraries serve as trusted community anchors, providing free and meaningful access to books, technology, and services that empower individuals to navigate an increasingly complex world. And whereas libraries strengthen local economies by supporting job seekers, entrepreneurs, and small businesses with tools, training, and access to information. And whereas libraries partner with schools, social service agencies, and community organizations to expand access to essential supports and improve quality of life for all residents. And whereas libraries foster informed and engaged communities by promoting civic participation, critical thinking, and access to varied perspectives. And whereas libraries play a vital role in civil society by upholding the freedom to read, learn, and explore, ensuring that all people have access to knowledge without barriers or censorship. And whereas libraries create welcoming spaces where individuals can find connection, support, and opportunity, and whereas dedicated librarians and library workers provide compassionate, knowledgeable service that strengthens both individuals and the broader community, and whereas readers, students, learners, libraries across America are joining together to celebrate National Library Week. Now, therefore, I, on behalf of Bruce Teague, Mayor of Iowa City, do hereby proclaim April 19th through 25th, 2026 to be National Library Week, and encourage us to recognize and support our libraries as essential institutions that advance literacy, strengthen community well-being, and uphold the foundations of a healthy and vibrant civil society. Please visit the Iowa City Public Library regularly to contribute to and benefit from library joy. And accepting this proclamation tonight is Manny Galvez in Public Relations for the Iowa City Library.
Welcome.
No, thank you so much. Well, good evening, Mayor, Council members, and community members. On behalf of the Iowa City Public Library and all of our staff, I would like to thank you for your proclamation recognizing the National Library Week 2026. We at the library are honored to celebrate with all of you this week and every day of the year. The library is a community place where people learn, create, and discover new opportunities. This year, the theme is Find Your Joy. Reminds everyone that the library has something for all of us, whether it's a great book, a program, learning something new, visiting the bookmobile, or simply feeling welcome, because libraries are for everyone. We invite everyone to visit us downtown on the bookmobile. We have more than 30 locations, stops, and online at icpl.org. If you don't yet have a library card, this is the perfect time to sign up. Thank you again for this recognition, for your continued support of the Iowa City Public Library. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks to everyone that came for proclamations today. Thank you so much for being here. All right. And we are going to move on in our agenda with items.
3.
I'll just wait 1 second. right, we'll move on with our agenda. Can I get a motion to approve consent calendars items 3 through 6, please?
So moved, Mo.
Second, Saleh.
All right. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address this topic? If you are online, please raise your virtual hand. If you are present in council chambers, please come to the podium at this time. Seeing no one online or in person, council discussion. Roll call, please.
Teague,
Yes?
Wyline,
Yes.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo,
Yes.
Sala.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. We're on to item number 7, which is community comment. This is an opportunity for folks to come up and talk about items that are not on our agenda. I just want to remind everyone that council cannot engage in discussion or debate due to open meeting laws. I want to see the hands of anyone that is present that would like to speak during this time on items that are not on our agenda. This is community comment time. Seeing no one? All right.
I wonder if those kids.
So this is community comment time. Is there anyone that wants to speak on items that are not on our agenda? Seeing no one, we're going to move on to items number 8, planning and zoning matters. 8A, rezoning west of Wetherby Park and north of Sand Prairie Preserve. Ordinance conditionally rezoning 56.35 acres of land located west of Wetherby Park and north of Sand Prairie Preserve from low-density single-family residential zone with a planned development overlay zone to T3 neighborhood edge, zone for 9.62 acres, T3 neighborhood general, zone for 37.50 acres, T4 neighborhood small zone for 8.04 acres, and T4 neighborhood small open zone for 1.18 acres. This is the second consideration, and staff is requesting expedited action.
I move that the rule requiring that ordinances must be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting in which it is to be finally passed be suspended, that the second consideration be for vote be waived, and that the ordinance be voted on for final passage at this time.
Moved by Mo.
Second. Alter.
Seconded by Alter. Anyone from the public would like to address this topic? If you're online, please raise your virtual hand. If you're in council chambers, please come forth. Seeing no one online or in person, council discussion. Roll call, please.
Wyline,
Yes.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo,
Yes.
Sala,
Yes.
Teague.
Yes. Motion passes 7-0. Could I have a motion to pass and adopt?
So moved, Mo.
Second, Wyline.
Roll call, please.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo,
Yes.
Sala,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Wyline.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. 8B, zoning code text amendment, parking and open space requirements for the conversion of guest rooms and hospitality-oriented retail uses to residential. Ordinance amending Title 14, zoning to exempt guest rooms and hospitality-oriented retail uses that are converted to residential uses from the parking and open space requirements for multifamily residential in the central business zone. And this is the second consideration, and staff is requesting expedited action.
I move that the rule requiring that ordinances must be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting which is to be finally passed be suspended, that the second consideration and vote be waived, and that the ordinance be voted on for final passage at this time.
Moved by Mo,
Second. Second, Burgess.
seconded by Burgess. All right. Anyone from the public would like to address this topic? If you're online, please raise your virtual hand. If you're in council chambers, please come forth. Seeing no one, council discussion. Roll call, please.
Burgess,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo,
Yes.
Sala,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Wyline,
Yes.
Alter.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Could I get a motion to pass and adopt?
Move, pass, and adopt.
Second.
Saleh.
Moved by Saleh, seconded by Alter. Roll call, please.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo,
Yes.
Sala,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Wyline,
Yes.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. 8C, preliminary plat, South Village. Resolution approving preliminary plat of South Village as subdivision of land located west of Wetherby Park and north of Sand Prairie Preserve, Iowa City, Iowa. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved. Alter.
Second, Burgess.
All right, and welcome, Danielle.
Thank you, Mayor. Danielle Sisman, Neighborhood and Development Services. This is the preliminary plat for South Village, which you saw the rezoning for at your last meeting. It's the area bounded here in the white outline. A preliminary plat is for the larger area. It would be followed by final plats, probably in phases. This shows the existing or the previous zoning of the same area. This is that prelim plat that I'm talking about, which you had some questions about last meeting about what's to be developed here. So I can tell you off of the preliminary plat, the housing type count this evening. They have a 6 different housing types in this preliminary plat phase. That includes a house size large, house size small, 25 of the large, and 58 dwelling units of the house type small. They also have duplex side by side, 84 of those, which are much higher count than a typical neighborhood. They also have cottage courts, 4 of those, sorry. And then 2 different styles of townhouse interspersed in here. A townhouse, which would be a house scale version of the townhouse and a block scale version of the townhouse. On this map, you can see them numbered. You'll see that on each block of these 12 blocks, there's a mix of those housing types throughout. That's a requirement of the form-based code for a mix of housing types, not just in the overall preliminary plat, but on the scale of a block by block scale of mix of housing. So as far as house types go, these are images out of our form-based code. These are not the images for Navigate, but these would give you a flavor of what house large and house small is intended to look like as it is developed. These are not the architectural styles by any means that have to be adhered to, but are more representing the overall size of a house and kind of the features that would need to be included in that type of form of housing. This is the cottage court and duplex side by side. Again, images from our form-based code, not Navigate, but the cottage court being a cluster of housing on one lot where there are little cottages or bungalows, and then duplexes with a side-by-side alignment. And then, as I mentioned, the townhouse types, ones that are either more block scale, like the image on the left, where the structure itself takes up perhaps a whole block or most of a block, and then the one on the right, which is more house size, where the individual townhomes are kind of broken up into smaller units. When we review a preliminary plat, even in the form-based code, we look at the comprehensive plan and the relevant subdivision codes that apply. This is in compliance with our comprehensive plan by dwelling units per acre. I guess that was also a question from last time, so I will tell you the dwelling units by acre for density, although as I cautioned you last time, that's not really the metric we use for form-based coding, but with 267 dwelling units over about 56 acres, that comes to about 4.7 dwelling units per acre. The form-based code is encouraging 2 to 8 dwelling units per acre. 4.7 is on the high side of a typical residential development. Normally we expect those at about 4 dwelling units per acre, but they don't end up being that because you take away roads and other things like that. So really we are still in a residential development density, which is appropriate for this neighborhood, but you're going to see a lot of different forms of that because it is form-based code, so you're going to see the mixing, you're going to see a different road network. And that is all in compliance with our comprehensive plan. Looking at the subdivision standards for lots and lot design, like I said, 267 residential lots. Also, the mix of housing, diversity of housing types, working within the flexibility of our existing code on the way those lots are laid out and their sizes. Also incorporating open spaces, all of the things for stormwater drainage, and private alleys and pedestrian and bicycle connections throughout. So a very walkable neighborhood. Looking at the other standards for streets and blocks, they have complied with our standards in our form-based code for the thoroughfares. They're incorporating traffic calming as required by that rezoning action. They've previously dedicated more than enough public park space in the Prairie Preserve land, but they are also providing private open space and accommodating sensitive areas with a little bit more of a prairie remnant dedication as they do their final plats. So as far as in the development steps, we are here at the prelim plat, highlighted in blue, following that rezoning that occurred last meeting. They will need to then apply for final plats and commence building permits after that. So based on a review of the relevant criteria, staff did recommend approval of this subdivision, preliminary plat, and at their February 18th, 26th meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission concurred with staff's opinion and voted 7-0 to recommend approval tonight. I'm happy to answer more questions.
Hearing none. Thank you. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? If so, please come forth now. If you're online, please raise your virtual hand. Seeing no one. Council discussion. Roll call, please.
Mo?
Yes.
Sala?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Wyline?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. We're on to items 9, which is our regular formal agenda. 9A is amended vacation and conveyance. Resolution amending Resolution 9, number 19-162, vacating and conveying approximately 4,482 square feet of right-of-way north of Benton Street, west of Orchard Court, to M&W Properties LLC, subject to a utility easement, and authorizing the mayor to execute a corrective quitclaim deed for that same property. I'm going to open up the public hearing, and we'll start with comments from our staff, and we'll go over to our city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be quick on this one. So in 2019, council vacated and conveyed some right-of-way that was no longer needed, and it sits amidst some other properties that are looking to be redeveloped. However, as part of that upcoming transaction, it was revealed that there was a Scrivener's error in the legal description, and we need to clean that up, and so that's what we're here to do today with this resolution.
All right. Any questions for Eric from council? All right, hearing none. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? If you're online, please raise your virtual hand. And if you're in council chambers, please come forth. Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved. Alter.
Second, Harmson.
Council discussion. Roll call, please.
Sala?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Wyline?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Mo?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. 9B, Camp Cardinal Road Extension Project. Resolution approving project manual and estimate of cost for the construction of the Camp Cardinal Road Extension Project. Establishing amount of bid security to accompany each bid. Directing city clerk to post notice to bidders and fixing time and place for receipt of bids. I'm going to open up the public hearing. And welcome.
Hey, good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm Josh Slattery, Senior Engineer with the City's Engineering Division. Give a brief presentation on the Camp Cardinal Road Extension Project. The project's located on the west side of Iowa City. It's Camp Cardinal Road is off Camp Cardinal Boulevard. It's near St. Andrew Presbyterian Church, and it's between the new Cardinal Heights subdivision on the west and the Gathering Place Lane Development subdivision on the east. It's a upgrade project, really, to upgrade from the existing narrow gravel road. There's no sidewalks, no storm sewer, and with the new subdivisions, they both paved up to the project boundaries for Deer Creek Road, so there's kind of a gap in the concrete pavement there. The improvements include extension of a 20-foot wide concrete roadway with curb and gutter, a traffic circle at the intersection of Deer Creek Road, 5-foot wide sidewalk along the west side of Camp Cardinal Road, sidewalk around the traffic circle, ADA curb ramps at the intersection of Deer Creek Road, and also ADA curb ramps at the intersection of Gathering Place Lane at the south end there, and extension of storm sewer with intakes along Camp Cardinal Road. The project will advance some of the strategic plan goals by improving mobility and improving safety and well-being for residents. The mobility improvements include a new wider concrete street, which will provide an important secondary access for Cardinal Heights and Western Home Gathering Place development. So new sidewalk along the west side of the street and around the traffic circle to provide for the pedestrians, and then new ADA ramps at the intersection with Deer Creek Road and at the intersection with Gathering Place Lane to improve accessibility. The traffic circle at the intersection of Deer Creek Road will provide traffic calming. And so the sidewalks provide a safe place for pedestrians to walk outside of the roadway, and concrete street, which will be less susceptible to potholes. The estimated construction cost is $785,000. Since the project was abutting both Cardinal Heights and Western Home Gathering Place development, both developers were required to contribute towards the cost of, since the street wasn't up to current design standards, both the developers were required to contribute to the future costs. So each paid 50% of the estimated construction cost for this project. So if approved, issue bid documents tomorrow. The bid opening will be May 12th. Award date is May 19th. Start of construction is June 22nd, and final completion date is August 28th. Any questions?
Was did you say that 50% for each of the developers?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
50% for Cardinal Heights and, yeah, 50% for Western
Okay,
Home.
I just didn't remember this in like the CIP or anything, or any other previous infrastructure stuff, so that makes a lot of sense why I wouldn't have seen it then.
Yeah.
All right. Hearing no more questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone from the public like to address this topic? If you're online, please raise your virtual hand. If you're in council chambers, please come forth. Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. Could I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved. Mo.
Second, Burgess.
Council discussion. Roll call, please.
Teague?
Yes.
Wyline?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Mo?
Yes.
Sala?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. 9C, North Market Square Park Improvements Project. Resolution approving project manual and estimate of cost for the construction of the North Market Square Park Improvements Project. Establishing amount of bid security to accompany each bid. Directing city clerk to post notice to bidders and fixing time and place for receipt of bids. I'm going to open up the public hearing. And welcome, Tyler.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tyler Baird, Superintendent of Parks and Forestry. So I'm here to talk about North Market Square Park Improvements Project with you tonight. Location, North Market Square, a little history fact, it's one of our 2 oldest parks in our whole system. So very well loved neighborhood, kind of 4 square kind of park traditional layout to that. Most of our work will be in the quadrant with the playground currently, with a few other updates of the amenities kind of throughout. So you can see on the plan here, most of that is playground in that bottom right quadrant. We are going to put new sod in that northern, northeastern quadrant. Gets a lot of use from the school. Mann Elementary is right there. They have recess out there. Been a lot of compaction over the years, so improving that soil surface first and then putting new sod on top will really give us a lot better playing surface. Maybe won't fix the problem forever, but it'll create a lot better place there. We've tried multiple years to get that grass growing better with no luck so far. So this will be the project to do that. Other components of the project, new basketball goals and resurfacing of the kind of a acrylic layer on top of that, like you've seen us do in some other basketball courts lately. Much loved place for basketball there, heavily used. And then the small little area with kind of the inset kind of lines around it. That is drinking fountain. So updating the drinking fountain to our current standards of backflow prevention and such, and getting a new drinking fountain there and just moving it across the sidewalk there. It helps us with our utility connections and not creating as much of a disturbance of that path when we replace that. Also some concrete work around the playground where the existing one will be removed. It's well-loved playground, but parts and pieces are showing a lot of wear and tear, and we can no longer get replacement parts for that playground. So creating some accessible features with that. We have worked with the school district on the playground. This is the playground that they are purchasing the playground as part of this project. So that's already been set in motion. They put the funds forth with that, with our agreement for them as they use the park pretty regularly. So throughout the public input process, we involved the school district heavily on this, and they gave their input all throughout, trying to make things equitable across the whole school district and system. So you'll see things like the glider there that's fully accessible, and other features that they have in some of the other schools. They don't have much space on Mann's campus there, so it's a really good collaboration for us with them. And then as school isn't in session during those hours, the public is welcome to use the features on the school too. So we really considered what they currently had and what we could do to balance those benefits by utilizing both of those for the public and for the school day as well. Cost, estimated construction cost, $200,000, and that's without the school district's purchase of the playground, which was somewhere in the $120,000 range. I don't know that exact number offhand, but that was kind of their contribution ballpark there. Bid opening set for May 12th. Award of contract proposed for May 19th. Construction, really important on this one, construction during the summer when school is out of session. So construction in that June and August timeframe, it would be when that would occur. And any questions you may have?
Is the playground surface poured in place rubber or wood chips?
It is wood chip, and the school district recommended that as well. And what we've seen in previous projects and what they've seen, that tends to work pretty well. I can go back to this plan quick. You'll see the little dark gray jutting into from the corner up there. That is a concrete surface that leads right to the ramp onto the playground, though. So there's a hard surface accessibility right to that playground as well. So it combines the best of both of those things with that. So that was a consideration.
Great, thank you. And the other question I had was about the sod. When they lay it, how long will people need to be off it? After they lay the sod, I assume there's several weeks or months where no one can use it?
Yes, so it'll depend on weather conditions during that time. I'd say minimum of a month typically, but that could be a couple of months in there. We want to get it established the best we can first off, so we don't end up with problems and back to square one where we are. And I will say this portion of the park was something that we heard a lot from the neighborhood on. We had proposed a turf, a synthetic turf for better durability of that, but we heard that they really valued the natural grass in this area. So we took that input, and that's what you see in the plan here. We had also considered some additional path to make a loop through the whole park, but got some feedback and listened to the community on that piece as well of something that they didn't value as much, and they valued the full natural grass open space of that. So thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? If you're online, please raise your virtual hand. If you're in council chambers, please come forth. Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
Move, Salah.
Second, Mo.
Council discussion.
It's my favorite park in town, and I'm really excited about this.
Great. Roll call, please.
Whiteline?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Mo?
Yes.
Sala?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. 9D, transit funding application. Resolution authorizing the filing of an application with the Iowa Department of Transportation for fiscal year 2027 state transit assistance and federal transit administration funding. I'm going to open up the public hearing, and we'll welcome Darian.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Darian Nagelgam, Director of Transportation Services with the city. Each spring, I come before you about this time to present the Consolidated Transit Funding Application, which is an annual application with the Iowa Department of Transportation, where we list all of our capital and operating expenses for which the city seeks funding from the DOT and from the Federal Transit Administration. The projects contained in this application have been programmed by Iowa City Transit for FTA Section 5307, 5310, and 5339 funds in FY27. So the projects will be included in the Metropolitan Planning Organization of Johnson Counties, or MPOJC's, consolidated transit funding application that they submit on our behalf, but they will also be included in the FY27 and FY30 MPOJC Transportation Improvement Program. So important to note that Iowa City Transit may not pursue funding for every project that's listed. However, all projects must appear in the application in order to remain eligible or become eligible for potential funding. So today, we are requesting approximately $3.93 million in federal operating assistance, and that is approximately $3.67 million for 5307 funding, which helps support our fixed route transit operations. $256,000 in 5310 funding that helps support our paratransit operations. And then the largest request is for $36.9 million in federal capital funds. That includes funding requests for the replacement transit facility that we've been working on, 16 heavy-duty buses, 9 light-duty buses, and assorted parts and equipment and tools, and which is a large request, and I am very pleased to say that over 88% of that request is competitively awarded funds that have been, we've been very successful in the last few years in terms of grant funding, 2023 through 2025. So those projects will be transformational for our system. They're going to help us continue to modernize and improve our system, facilities, and fleet. Last but not least, this request also includes a request for $871,000 in state support. That's used to help, again, support our operations. And I just want to highlight, last note here, following the March 10th public hearing announcement for this public hearing tonight, the Iowa DOT, as they often do, they will publish budget numbers and they will publish final numbers. So I have updated numbers in terms of that state transit assistance. We had initially reported the planning budget was $940,000, and the final budget came in at $871,354. And similarly, the funding amounts for the federal 5310 funding was projected at $269,839. We received the revised version last week for $256,097. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about this application for state and federal funding.
I am always curious where we're at with the transit facility. The 5339 funds, are those, where are we? We've been getting multiple thumbs up, but there seems to always be one more thumb up needed. Is that?
There seems to be always one more thumb up needed. No, we've received it in writing that 5339 funding is secure. We've received that in writing from the Federal Transit Administration, so that was what we've been very patiently waiting for over the last year, outside of the award notice that we received in 2023. We have about, I would say, another month maybe until we get to actual obligation, and that's when we have a signed agreement with the federal government. We did receive word last week that the parcel of land that we would like to build the replacement transit facility on cleared NEPA process, so we received the environmental approvals. That was a huge hurdle. That had been 3 years in the making to get to that point, so we have the letter from the FDA that we've cleared that hurdle. Now we just have to clean up some logistics in our formal grant application, and the Department of Labor is the last to weigh in. And once they weigh in, we can sign an agreement and have it signed on the dotted line. So yes, a few more small hurdles, but I think the major ones have gone past now. So I feel pretty good about where we're sitting.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
While I was reading, there was like 25% like fund match or something like that. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Sure. Typically, our funding from the federal government is usually 85% covered federally and 15% covered by the municipality, which is really an exceptional level of support from the federal government. So of the federal, and that's in terms of the competitive grants, there's a 50% match required for our 5307 funding. So that match is a little bit higher. So it depends on the federal funding source that we receive funding for. Most of them require a match. We did receive one congressionally designated award for $750,000 in 2024, and that was at 100% match. So that's a unicorn grant. We don't receive those very often, but we were very thrilled to put that to good use to help fund the design of the transit facility.
Definitely, yeah. Thank you.
Yep. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? If you're in person, please come forth. If you are online, please raise your virtual hand. Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So move, Saleh.
Second, Alter.
All right, council discussion. Roll call, please.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo,
Yes.
Sala,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Wyline.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. 9E, fiscal year 26 budget amendment public hearing. This is a resolution amending the current budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026. I'm going to open up the public hearing and welcome Jeff.
All right, Mayor and Council, you've got the next several items related to your budget. So first, we're going to tackle the fiscal year 26 amendment. That's the current year that we're in now. The next item, which will also have a public hearing, will be your fiscal year 27 budget. That's the year that starts July 1. And then we have the utility rates as the third item, and our 3-year financial plan and capital improvement plan as the final item. So we'll take these one by one, but just as a reminder and for the public, our budget was released in January. You had several meetings related to the budget and heard from department directors about their respective budgets. Many work sessions, and that led us to where we're at tonight. So for the fiscal year 26 budget, this is the second amendment that we'll be doing to this budget. What this incorporates is all of the changes that were presented to you in January. So whenever we put together a budget for the upcoming fiscal year, we also go through the exercise of amending the current fiscal year if there's been known changes in project costs, for example, or expenses that weren't anticipated, revenues that weren't anticipated. We incorporate those in. We present that to you in January as well, and that's largely what we have before you. So these are amendments that you would have reviewed over the last few months. Happy to answer any questions about those. They are noted in the staff report and listed in the state form that's attached to that. If you have questions, I'll be happy to tackle that.
Okay, hearing none. All right, anyone from the public like to address this topic? Please come forth now. Raise your virtual hand if you are online. Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved. Mo.
Second, Wyline.
Council discussion. Roll call, please.
1 second.
Yes.
I think I tried to flag for everybody the memo that I put in specifically regarding the 2026 budget amendment. And originally we were looking at including it in the fiscal year 27 budget, but because of where the proposed money is coming from, potentially it made more sense to do it for the 2026 amendment instead of the fiscal 2027 year. And just to do a quick overview, if perchance you hadn't seen it, or for the public, what I have proposed after working with staff trying to get something that makes the most sense, that fits and move the needle forward when it comes to the strategic plan regarding public safety that includes nuanced public safety response from the city and our nonprofit partners to meet the best needs of the situation. I feel like maybe that conversation has stalled over the years. And so my intention with this proposal is to try to like get some ground, try to make something that sets us up in a good place, especially considering that we have the field mediation program happening right now that we applied with Johnson County jointly for. So specifically, what I am proposing and what this amendment would do is to create a separate third reserve fund that would be specifically for to implement and expand innovative public safety models and facilities to improve outcomes and relationships within the community. So all the alternative response fund. And what that means is alternatives to diversifying our public safety response. So when any type of call that sometimes will go to the police when it's not needed and takes up police resources, right now we have the community crisis program, and they do those calls, but we know that they are not at the capacity that we need to be to reach our public safety goal as outlined in the strategic plan. So what this does is it creates a fund that at some point I would like us to have a discussion on how much goes into the fund every year, where that money comes from, but that's not what's being proposed right now. What's being proposed right now is we create the fund and we fluff or seed it. I like to say fluff, but I was told that that was a weird term to use when it comes to seeding a fund. So seeding the fund, not fluffing the fund, with what was going to go from the 2026 budget amendment to the emergency fund, which is $162,400. That would be the initial seed. And the reason the emergency reserve fund is, after talks with staff, was an initial, what made the most sense was because, over the years we've had a steady balance in the emergency reserve fund. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff or Eric, but I think over years we've only spent this on property acquisitions in the floodplain. Is that correct?
I believe that is correct, yes.
Okay. So after conversations with staff, it seems like we are comfortable where this is. And one thing when it comes to reserves funding is we don't want to put our facilities reserve in jeopardy, right? That's very important because we want as much cash on hand for facilities so we don't have to do a ballot initiative when we need to build a fire station per se. So this is something that will, it says here in the memo, because of that, it can meet the goal without committing any new resources or eroding support for our municipal operations and investments in our public infrastructure. So I think that this would be a really cool step forward to, reaching for that facility goal or for that public safety goal. And I would also like to say that I think we sometimes have a chicken before the egg problem when it comes to projects. We think, well, we can't fund something if we don't have a project, or, well, we can't do the project because we don't have funding. And I think that this type of, because a lot of times we have funds that just has money that sits there for years and we don't do anything with. I think the public interest and the possibilities, especially with the field mediation, I think this money will be utilized quite quickly. And to further paint that point, we actually have gotten a specific proposal from Community Mobile Crisis about a pilot program. And I think it's very topical right now that, and this has been in in the works for weeks, or we got this proposal weeks ago, is understanding that our downtown on the weekends is our highest call volume time. It's our highest instance of conflict time. And what this pilot project would do would be to put mobile crisis workers downtown, stationed down there, and to be able to respond extremely quickly and help people out, de-escalate situations, respond to those calls that a lot of times police are responding to, where someone's just really drunk and belligerent and needs a ride home, and taking up their resources when, their time could be better spent responding to, things of a violent nature. So I've been talking long enough. Thank you all for hearing me out and reading the memo, and thank you to staff for all your very constructive conversations leading up to this and all your help. I'm happy to chat about it with any of y'all.
I'm sorry, we will need a second before we chat.
Okay.
Second, Saleh.
All right.
So I just have two questions before I really dive. Number one is, where exactly does the $162,400, where does that figure come from? And number two, you mentioned some proposal that we have for some services that I guess I didn't understand.
Yes, so it doesn't give the outlines of the proposal in my memo. It just states that we have that proposal and that we've already had people reach out for a proposal that would be.
I'm not following. Like, did somebody say to the council, we would like to provide this service, this is the cost? Or I guess, how are you using the word proposal?
I believe, and this was something very recent as well, Community did send out a outline of what a pilot program like this would actually look like. It just hasn't been, this would be a work session topic in the future.
Is there an IP?
No, not in this packet.
Is there in a previous one? I just missed it, or?
Who, I guess the question is, has it been circulated was this sent to all of council, or was this simply?
Not yet, no, because it will be a conversation in the future about, I'm just simply stating that it exists and that it's an example of what some of this money could go towards. It's a very broad thing. And I think Jeff could answer your question about where that figure comes from.
And so in the budget that we presented to you in January, again, that included fiscal year 26 amendments and the fiscal year 27 budgets. One of those fiscal year 26 amendments was to direct surplus funds to our various reserves. So we had recommended the $162,400 to go to the emergency reserve and $5 million to go to the facility reserve. So the 162 is the exact amount that was transferred, that was recommended in January to be transferred to the emergency reserve fund.
The transfer value.
Right. So essentially the motion is to redirect a transfer from that's headed to one reserve, redirect it to a newly created reserve.
I have I have a question. So, as I understood the memo, moving forward, not only the seating, but then future funding would be coming as an amendment, like a late spring amendment to the existing budget or January, when we understand what we have in the existing. Like, we're not taking from. This is why we're having this conversation right now to the 26th, to the current budget. So what I'm wondering is that in the future years, to add to that fund, it would be, my understanding my hope, I don't know, is that it would be in a like fashion, that we are not looking forward to say, let's build this into the coming year's budget, but rather we're looking at money that we're like, oh, we actually have this money already in reserve, and we can take it and direct it to this new fund.
Yes.
Is that the idea, that it would be taking from, as an amendment to
Councilor
an
Wyline's
existing?
proposal, so he'd have to clarify that, but I can clarify how we are moving around funds or the timing of that. So if you look at our fiscal year 27 budget, again, that'll be your next item, we are not budgeting for transfers in 27 into those reserve funds. What we will do is when we start working on the following year's budget and the books close on this current year, we'll see if we ended up with a surplus. And if we end up with the surplus, then we work that into the amendment. So we're always working a little bit behind on how to direct those reserve funds.
I guess thank you for that concise and clear answer. That was what I was looking for, was that last part, that it's going to be lagging.
Yes. And just to further make it clear, the only thing that the amendment would do would be to create the fund and seed it with this money. And then at a future date, we would discuss what the rules around the fund would be.
Right. And that we also, just to be clear, because like the others, I haven't seen the outline from community, we're not voting on this pilot or that would be the direction or the intention of what this fund is, even.
No. That is an
receiving
example of something that would fall under the purview of this money in this proposal. I was just bringing it up as a potential example. The other examples could include street medicine, nurse practitioners on the beat, more crisis responders. I think if you could speak a little bit to the
homeless outreach
the
is
homeless
one thing
outreach.
we talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, as we've identified the scope of the number of people in our community who are unhoused increasing, and all of the things that we're trying to do to get to net zero homelessness, that if we wanted to invest in additional street outreach, that seems like a very reasonable fit for a fund like this.
What will be the name, the proposed name?
It's just the alternative response reserve fund.
Reserve fund.
That's the proposed name, yeah. And it's funny when it comes to the field of alternative response, one of the biggest debates in the field of alternative response is what to call the field of alternative response. So it's that is the proposed name, I suppose.
I'm going to just offer some clarity around future council approvals that would be needed. So when you're creating a new reserve fund, first of all, there's no direction on how that's used. So we would encourage you to develop policies. You can look in the current budget document and read about the emergency reserve fund and what the intended uses are for that. And then you want to consider who has the authority to spend. Does staff have discretion to spend out of it? Does it require council approval? All those things you'll need to talk about if you decide to go forward with this. And the other thing is, there's not a budgeted expenditure out of this fund that you're creating. So at a future date, you're going to have to amend the budget to say, now we want to spend this dollars for this purpose. So I would describe what the motion is as parking funds and signaling an intended use, but you're not going to be in a position to spend these dollars after tonight.
So the current emergency reserve fund has restrictions on it for items that we can spend on.
That's correct.
And it currently doesn't involve civilian response. Is that correct, right?
Correct.
Yeah. But we could just change that.
You could amend the emergency reserve.
The same policy, we could set this aside to fund, and us or a future council could undo this silo of money also. So that's what I'm trying to understand, like what the benefit we get out of parking money as opposed to just, you said one thing. First of all, thank you for writing a memo, so we have something to respond to ahead of time. Yeah. You did say that our alternative responses have stalled out, and I wanted to take a second to say, we have invested more money every year in it, and since I've been on council, we continue to do more and more. But we had a huge increase in direct aid to agency funding that very much touches these things. So we are doing more every year, and I think we've all signaled that we're interested in continuing to do more. And I did watch the, I believe it was the April 20 meeting of 2025 where Chief Liston and Sarah came and presented, and we talked about some of our goals that we had, and they kind of said, well, maybe some of your goals actually aren't in alignment with our actual needs, and I would love to revisit that conversation. I would love to get a proposal on what exactly it is they want, and it sounds like you might have information that I don't have about what, because there's some proposal out here that I've not seen that I'm curious to learn about. And to me, that seems like the right order of operations is to figure out what are we doing next and what money do we need for it, and then we can just amend our current reserve funds to take that money rather than create a silo that we can just undo immediately. So I guess I'm not against what you're proposing. I want to be clear about that. I think that we should continue to beef up these other options, but the mechanism to me, it's just not, I'm not sold yet on that's the right way to do it.
When I say it has stalled out, I say not that we are looking at different things like co-response, right? And we have done the field mediation application, but when it comes to the call responses, right? The actual number of community crisis, mobile crisis, that and transfers from 911 or stuff like that. That's what I mean. That's what I meant when I say it has not. We have not moved the needle in getting increasing the call volume of mobile crisis. That is what I meant by that. Not that we are not doing anything. Clearly, we're doing stuff.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate the everybody's work in trying to make this happen. And why I think a specific fund rather than just changing language for the emergency fund is to more concretely have a stated purpose and a fund specifically for something and have rules specifically around it. So when we talk about how we are seeding this fund, that is when we talk about how we're seeding the fund, when we talk about how we are spending the fund, it is coming from a singular place, which makes it easier for people like, anybody that would be receiving these funds to have some continuity, right? To be able to know that funding is happening on, the hardest thing. It's easy to throw money one time at something, but when you create a fund and you create a policy on giving money to that fund, that is the hardest part of continuing these operations. And I like having it separate. I think it's cleaner. I think it I think it's easier to understand for the public and for the nonprofit partners and that we'd be working with. I think it's just a clearer communication to the public too. And yeah, like I said, how this money gets used and what the rules are around this fund, that's got to be talked about and agreed from all of us. I have ideas, but I think tonight, we're not going to hash that out. But I think it would be a great work session topic, maybe a couple.
Yeah, so, this is not a new conversation to this council. When we're talking about mental health, proposals or thoughts or dreams that we've had, I think oftentimes we haven't moved towards just identifying or approving by this council a dollar amount. We know that Councilor Burgess has actually, talked about mental health for quite some time and have asked us to kind of have some conversations surrounding it. And we have had conversations, but I don't think that we ever got to a point where we've said yes to a number. I know that there has been conversations on throughout a number, Councilor Burgess, and the number, to my memory, wasn't exactly there, and it wasn't that we were asking for a specific project as well, because that can still be determine what the project will be. So I'm all right with the $162,000 earmark funds for, the mental health kind of response dollars. The alternative response, I think if we're going to give it a title, we want to make sure that the title is broad enough where whatever that definition or policy surrounding just kind of makes sense. Now, the alternative response probably makes sense even if something within that fund that was approved didn't quite make it, but I mean, I understand the intent here. I'm not fully sold on the term, especially giving, that you just mentioned, Councilor Burgess, that we could increase kind of our outreach for our unhoused population. I'm not sure that is an alternative response, but I think that title just doesn't fully get it for me, but I do understand the intent of what the funds would be, and I think it's really something that this council will have to think about, because at that point we're putting ourselves in positions of directly receiving proposals and directly approving them, is what I see, and it could be initiatives from this council, which would be, I think, fantastic as well. But just know that we may be changing some of the normal protocols of, who is initially reviewing applications of proposals that will be recommended to the council for approval. And that's, again, some things that we'll need to work out.
In my day job, we talk a lot about wordsmithing and changing language to get it just so. And I think that talking about the naming of the fund perhaps might be an instance of that, although I was actually at the same point that you were talking about doing homelessness outreach might be outside of the venue. I was just reminded of something that I read very recently about a city down south that is completely criminalized homelessness, and so that it would be the police's job to actually roust people who are unhoused. So this might have the expansiveness of the term might well end up being useful. But either way, I appreciate that we are having this conversation, and from where I'm sitting, I am much more comfortable with it coming, that the funds would be coming after we have gone through most of a budget year, and to say, how are we doing and do we have the reserves to be able to transfer? So I appreciate, Councilor Weiland, that you've been working with staff to see, what are the ways in which we can do this, that moving forward, I mean, there may be some up years, some down, what have you, but the one thing that actually is constant about our city is that we're incredibly good stewards of money. And so I think that this is a smart move moving forward, and one that actually will be consistent. Mm-hmm. So it's not a kind of a bait and switch of like, sure, you can have a fund, right? Mm-hmm. And then it won't go anywhere. Yeah. I do want to pause and say, I am in favor of this mechanism. I do think that I know that we need to put parameters around it, as the city manager mentioned. But I absolutely, that's as far as I go tonight. Mm-hmm. As far as whatever else we end up doing with that money, that has to be a full-throated conversation. And I know that you said, a work topic or what have you. Mm-hmm. But this is something that we have to know, and I heartily agree that having community and/or community along with the police or whomever comes before us to say, here's truly what we're seeing as needs, and here's what would be useful. That is definitely something that would be great to hear, so that we can make best use of these funds.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
So I would like to echo, thank you for the memo bringing this up. I have I think that's helpful to give us a few days at least to kind of kick this around, think it over, kind of mull on it. I always appreciate that. A couple of things just to kind of we talked about. I think you mentioned about mediation being program sort of going, and I don't think that's exactly, I mean, there's some consultants that are working on some proposals right now, but
Yeah,
there's
it's in
nothing
motion.
actually happening, and decisions still have to be made about which direction that would take. I was lucky enough to have a meeting with the consultant just Friday, I think, Thursday or Friday of last week. So, different things that it might entail, which is great. But I think, when you talk about chickens and eggs and carts and horses, where we are in that process, I'm not sure. I think also, one of the things that the consultant was talking about was an up-training mobile crisis responders. Now, that's coming from the consultant. That's not coming from community. And so, I'm really leery of, trying to, until, we've heard from that group directly, to put, words in their mouth or aspirational kinds of things, but actually having, sort of a hard proposal in front of us. I mean, community crisis, that service is, we are so incredibly fortunate. It is outstanding. And I could spend 20 minutes and I wouldn't say all the good things I think it deserves. So I really want to make sure that, if they want to do that and we can support that, I think that's great. But I also want to hear that that's what they want and that won't, be biting off more than they can chew. I mean, I don't know the answers to those questions, but those are answers that I absolutely want to have. So I think that's all, if they come, to us, I just want to, that's, again, coming from them and what they can do, because the last thing I'd want to see is us sort of, getting, in this case, I'm going to use another, I hate to see the tail wagging the dog. We might have great ideas, but, are we really all on the same page with that? So I'd want to look that over and have that to look at. The other thing too, and I kind of same thing with Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor announced about the name and kind of, I know we would have to do the rules again, at a later time, but is it alternative response? Is it public safety enhancement? Is it, something that gives us the flexibility? So if the mediation thing, say it doesn't come to fruition, they decide, no, that's not the right time, right place, for whatever reason. I don't want to have a fund that's locked up somewhere that now it's sitting dormant. We can't get to. And I'm thinking, right now, first thing that comes to my mind is like the Black Lives Matter funds, which are money that's been sitting dormant because the parameters maybe weren't there when it was created that allowed it to have that flexibility or implementation. And I know that's a whole other conversation, but that kind of sticks in my mind. I think this is a good start. I don't know if I'm completely comfortable with creating a new fund at this moment, although I definitely see some value in some of the possible things it could do. I'm also a little hesitant, like we talk about creating a new fund or a new thing, and then we throw out 10 possible things. Well, obviously they can't do 10 possible things, not with this amount of money. And so then it becomes a little bit like, at a certain point, if we don't have a clear vision, so on one hand, I like the idea of flexibility. On the other hand, if we don't start off with a clear enough vision of what it's going to be used for, then we always run the risk, even if well-intentioned, of doing a bait and switch. Like we say we're going to do, we let people know, hey, we're going to do this mediation program. The mediation program falls through. Well, do we have the flexibility to switch something else? And did we sell this on, well-intentioned, but ultimately, false premises. So again, which is absolutely not saying that you're saying anything false. I don't want to give that impression. But I'm still sort of grappling with this. Is this the right mechanism? Is this chicken and egg? Is it cart and horse? And for those reasons, not that any of the particular ideas that I could see any of those being something that we want to support and do in the future. So
This could, I'm really confused about the name stuff, because we could call this the Duck Fund and then define the parameters of what it does later. This is like a alternative response, community crisis response. I guess I just really don't. Alternative response, I think that gives to me, like that gives like a complete starting point. Right, and then it will be up to us to create the parameters in which we will define what that means, right? And so I'm a little bit confused about that. And also when it comes to this is just an initial seeding of the fund to create the fund to say, yes, we want to have a fund that at some point will be regularly seeded, right? And we can say what that means, how much, where from. That is a discussion we will have. But if we want to do things like this, we need a fund that will be seeded and that will be continually funded. Otherwise, we're going to constantly be in the discussion of, well, we can't do this because we don't have the money. Oh, well, we can't get the money because we don't have anything to do. The only reason I brought up the community crisis thing, even though it's in early stages, is because that's just already something new that has happened. And the mediation program, when it comes to, all right, our people have this staff, all they need is money in order to hire new staff and to expand capacity. So we don't even need to reinvent the wheel to spend this money. But there are so many things, and whether it be us, like you said, whether it be us or whether it be the nonprofit partners, community partners, like there's just, I mean, just like so much opportunity, and we just need to create that opportunity. And the fund just makes the most sense to me. And I don't know, you were going to say something, Mayor? Yeah.
So because what we're discussing is a strategic plan initiative by this council, something that we have highlighted as being important. And when I go to the title, it is safety and well-being. And again, I want to emphasize that this is not a new discussion by this council. Councilor Burgess has edged us on continuously on this, as well as, there has been some, a lot of discussions on how do we do it. Do we, throw out a number and just have it sit there until we have a plan? So if we're going to earmark this, I really think that it can be a term directly from our strategic plan, safety and well-being plan, because that to me seems to really be what we're discussing. And the interesting piece that I hadn't thought about, but I'll say it now, since just because some of the things that you just mentioned, Councilor Wyline, because we don't have money when we're wanting to do something as a council, sometimes we're trying to figure out, where the money is coming from. Again, we always, if we have a need, one of us will say, well, let's talk about what our need is, and then we send it to our staff and then, have them figure out the funding source. If the council wanted to maybe reconsider labeling this fund safety and well-being, and maybe just saying that, at the end of every, when we're amending the budget, if there are some surplus dollars, the council can just earmark those funds for what I'll call council initiatives, because it can be a number of things that might be on the table at that moment that might be important for this council to kind of discuss. Now, that puts us in a predicament where, yes, if there's a need before us, which there's always needs, I've been on the council since 2018, there's always a need. And there could be a need that the council want to focus on, and that may give us the opportunity to just say, hey, what is it that you're hearing from constituents? What seems to have an opportunity before us in the moment that we want to go towards? And then the council can make a decision on whatever that proposal might be. I'm not trying to derail this, but when you mentioned that, I did think that if we're wanting to earmark funds, because again, these are going to be funds that the council has put in ourselves in a position to listen to proposals and to fund them. That's what we're doing right now. And we're not going through our traditional HCDC or our HRC, processes where we have those commissioners assessing. Right now, this is saying that the council is putting ourselves in those roles.
I just think from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of, I really appreciate the conversation, and thank you, Mayor, for harkening back to other conversations that we've had. I think if I understand correctly, and I was in on a couple of the conversations with staff about it, it's like I think it's a little more narrow than what you're talking about, Mayor, right? And the intent, I don't believe, would be to put council in a position of, administering grants or something like that. I think it really is like, we understand that we have these strategic plan goals that are articulated well enough, right? And can we then say, all right, if we want to fulfill this goal, talking with community partners about how we best go about that. And I would imagine that it would be more like, staff negotiating contracts with service providers to be able to say, this is what we can do for this amount of money, and you understand what you're getting, rather than like we sit as grant makers. That's at least based on the conversations that we've had to date, because I personally don't think it's a good idea for us to wade into the, more like discretionary, you tell us what you want and then we decide, who we think is cool enough. Like I just, I'm being a little flip about it, but I just don't want to, wade into that. So that's how I'm seeing it, more like this is to create a pot of money for this more specific purpose. So it's not totally wide open for just what counselors want, but like, we know this is something that we have been talking about because we've been stuck on the chicken and egg part. This would give us a mechanism to move forward.
I mean, maybe a recent example, thinking back to when it first came into fruition was the emergency shelter, right? Because it was something and it was like, okay, well, we can find the money here and we can do it. But then we saw and we heard that the need was so great that it was, and I know both the Mayor Pro Tem at the time and you as well were like, we need to expand this. How do we do this? And how do we do this in a way that's sustainable? And so if I'm understanding what you're saying, Laura, as well as sort of the intent of the fund, it would be that type of a thing rather than the grant making.
Mm-hmm. I just don't think we want to put ourselves in that position.
No. Yes, what you said is, I very much agree with that.
And that's not the intention. Yeah.
I guess that the piece that I continue to struggle with is that it just takes a simple majority to create this fund. It just takes a simple majority to change the fund, to dissolve it. It also just takes a simple majority to change our current reserve fund to include well-being or whatever the terminology. And so that's the piece, the hurdle that I have not yet gotten over is, what are we getting out of this other than more complexity?
I think transparency is what it is. It's about signaling where we intend to spend the money. Because you're right, like any of these things at any moment, we could, with four of us, change.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think it really is about the direction of showing and saying that's what we would be looking to allocate funds for. If nothing panned out and we weren't spending that money, absolutely we have the authority to change it, right? And move it to somewhere else. But that's my feeling anyway, is that it's really transparency.
A last comment for me is going to be just the naming. So I'm looking at, the safety and well-being, but I'm also looking at community safety. I'm not sure that because I know we want to narrow the terminology to be specific. I'm not sure that alternative response is the terminology that
It's about backup response or secondarily respond.
I think community response is a pretty
Community
common
response. Yeah,
term.
community
Yeah,
response.
and in the field of what we're talking about, I think that's another name that's often used if that's an option people like.
So that, for me, and of course, I'm a comms professor, right? Teach at think classes like rhetoric, so the words do matter. So I'm thinking too, like, again, cart horse, are we predetermining, when we're really talking about, I think, and very much to the mayor's point about, our community well-being, community safety enhancement reserve, something like that gives us some flexibility. And, for me, and maybe I know this is on everybody's mind, but the 800-pound gorilla in the room is what we just had happen in our city this past weekend. And so I'd hate to predetermine as we take a look at public safety needs, predetermine what that's going to look like. Now, I say that being that I actually like the idea of mediation. And, you know, if we can find a way to make that work, I have no problem with that. But in terms of creating a reserve fund that puts too tight of a parameter, you know, and then, you know, we still have, and it's just, the timing is unfortunate because I think we're so close to what happened. We don't have enough information to start making policy decisions that aren't knee-jerk. But I also, if we're going to do something like this, I also want to sort of, you know, again, it's about signaling, but signaling that, you know, hey, we'll give everything a fair consideration. You know, I think our community deserves that, and I think that these are things like the mediation have value of their own and on their own merits could be, you know, valuable in that way. So I think I think we're kind of in agreement. I think the name matters to me, and because it does sort of, this feels like less tail wagging the dog if we're trying to talk about a, you know, a community safety enhancement reserve fund or something like that that would absolutely include everything that you have, you know, as a possibility that you have in your proposal, but it doesn't limit it to that. And I know that that somewhat probably is not your intent completely, but that's also part of what I still struggling to agree with, is because if the intent is sort of predetermined, you know, as opposed to like an emergency reserve or something like that, which has parameters but also has some flexibility. So just kind of my 2 cents on what I'm struggling with this.
So I think the alternative response is unarmed community responders going to conflict. That is what that means.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're getting at when you say this will not be broad enough to include, because we already have the police budget, you know, this is just not that. And so I guess I just really don't understand, you know, like the fact that this wouldn't potentially include the police. Is that what is the problem?
I mean, again, you know, I don't know. Let's just, I'd hate to throw out hypotheticals, again, based on what just happened in our community, because it's too soon and I don't want people to latch on to things. But let's just say, and this is not a proposal I'm making, nor have I heard this particular thing, because again, we're talking about 48 hours ago. Better cameras, more cameras, like that was an issue. Now again, just as an example of something that if we're talking about public safety enhancement, that would be on the table. Now it might be that we look at that and we say, nah, we don't need that. You know, and you know, just for the record, I'm not talking at all about flock cameras, right? So that's, you know, we're on the same page there. But if we're talking about, and again, I actually don't have a problem with alternative response. I'm just not sure that I'm comfortable with making a fund that is limited to just that, rather as opposed to a fund that looks at public safety and wellness more holistically. If we're going to do a reserve fund mechanism so that we can keep things on the table, which would include the things you have, but maybe other things as well that we haven't thought of. And so I guess I'm not comfortable locking in at this point with, especially, you know, again, processing this while simultaneously processing everything else in our community over the last couple of days. I just am not there.
Does establishing this fund that is just for a certain type of response mean that we cannot spend money on other things that are not germane on this? Like, I mean, I just, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mazir.
Yeah, I guess I feel like you give me a feeling like, is this means you said if we already have the police fund for safety and everything, right? And this is the police end, right? Mm-hmm. This is not in a state of, right now. We know all of us talking about only like certain thing that we think we can have a community respond. I'm not going to say alternative respond. Mm-hmm. Community respond to it, which is make it like much better. But I think so right now we are not really talking about what we're going to use the fund for later, because we can talk about it instead. Mm-hmm. Right now we just would like to have a certain line item there, and I think all of us agree that for the 100, we have a majority, the 160 something is not, all of us agree to it. So if we can just now, for the sake of the time, create the reserve, and we can, all of us, it take 4 people to say, don't use it for that. If later somebody come and like you don't agree, for example, of the used. But right now, I think that we just need to create that fund if like the people agree, and later on, we also are the one who have the power to say use it for this and use it for that. And regarding the name, I think any name, community response is fine.
It's fine by me.
Yeah. So let's create the fund, and we can talk about the used later, case by case.
How do we feel about community response fund?
That's it, community
Yeah,
response
like
fund.
with 162,400 coming from, seeded from the space that we initially talked about.
Emergency.
Community response fund.
Yes.
Yeah.
Reserve fund?
Community
Reserve
Response
fund.
Reserve Fund.
Yes. Community
Reserve.
response, yes.
Reserve fund at 162,000, and this would just be amending where the staff had proposed for the 162 to go to the emergency fund.
We've come to this.
Wanted to know if staff, if council is ready to vote on this proposal.
Well, so as to not need a vote on the amendment to the amendment to the amendment. Was that is your own motion to change it, as I understand it, from the Alternative Response Reserve Fund to the Community Response Reserve Fund? You seconded, Councilor
Yes.
Sally. You're okay with that, so it's a
Yes.
friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay, great. So that's that.
Thank
I
you.
can support
Thank you.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're to the motion, Councilor Wyline's motion to amend the amendment.
All right.
So has he made the motion?
Right.
Already,
The original
yeah,
item,
so
I'm
at
sorry,
this
we've got so
point-
many
Yes.
amendments here.
Okay, so now we're at.
The original
there's-
item is the fiscal year 26 budget amendment public hearing, and Councilor Wyline has proposed an amendment to that. So that's where we are now.
Okay. So before we move on, because we had a motion by Wyline and a seconded by Salah for the name of Community Response Reserve Fund,
Yeah.
do we need to vote on that?
We don't, because it's considered a friendly amendment. It
Yes.
was the
Right.
two people who made it.
All right,
Yes.
so we are at the voting part. If
Yeah.
there are no more conversation
Yes.
by council on the 162 amendment, 162,000 amendment that what Councilor Wyline proposed.
Just to clarify, I think the motion was for 162,400.
Okay, great.
Okay. Thank you.
162,400.
Thanks, staff.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Roll call, please.
Burgess,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo,
No.
Salah,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Wyline,
Yes.
Alter.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-1. We are back to the original item before us, which is just the fiscal year budget amendment public hearing. Any other discussion on this item?
I was trying to ask for also amendment for FY26 budget, but between the meetings, I like have a conversation with the city attorney and city manager, and I found out that you can only amend money coming out from the facility or from the emergency. But the facility reserve, we have only $5 million, and I'm looking for $5.1 million that we can have from the reserve, the general reserve, to be for the affordable housing fund, like creating another reserve called affordable housing reserve fund. But since this is not going to happen, I think I just wanted to put it on your radar that we can talk about it more after we pass the FY27 budget in July.
Well, you'll pass it presumably at the next item.
No, after it
can
passed,
amend it.
Yeah, we can come and amend it because the only time that we can amend it is after July 1st.
You are correct.
Okay, yeah.
And as part of, as a just catching you up, Mayor. We were talking during work session about pending work topics, and one of them had to do with sort of a holistic view of our reserve policies, and that this would be something that we were hoping to move up so that we could talk about it in May to have a better understanding of the reserves and the policies, so that then we're in better situation for any, whether it's an amendment, putting forth the new proposal by Councilor Sedlow.
Yeah, but I have one question for you. Maybe this is have nothing to do with this conversation, but if we would like to create a new line item for the CIP, how or when can we do that?
The best time to do that would be when you're reviewing the budget in early January when we present that. And if you know you want to create it, even giving staff direction before. So when in August usually, or sometimes early September, we'll come and say any budget priorities that you have. And if there's a majority that say we'd like to create we'd like to resurface this road this year, for example, then we would work that into the CIP and present it to you in January. You can do budget amendments, but when you get into the CIP, if you're talking about bond funds, right, you're going to be looking at our bonds here and a few additional items. We're only bonding for those dollars once a year. So it depends on the revenue source, because CIP uses, the capital improvement plan utilizes numerous revenue sources to fund various projects. So back to the short answer, September, August budget prep, January preliminary budget review are the two best times.
Okay, sound good.
Thank you.
So for clarification, did you want to make a proposal in this moment, or you were just kind of alluding to a topic that we'll be discussing at a future work session in May?
No, I don't want to make proposal, because if I made the proposal to take from the facility, we have only 5 million in the facility, but I think we need also to buy the school districts for the new station, and that's not gonna work. So I'm just going to wait.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. Any other item for discussion at this time? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Harmson?
Yes.
Moe?
Yes.
Sala?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Wyline?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. We're on to 9F, public hearing for fiscal year 2027 budget. Resolution adopting the annual budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2027. I'm going to open up the public hearing and welcome Jeff.
Okay, on to the next fiscal year. So again, this fiscal year would start in July and go through the following June. This is the budget that was presented to you in January. Again, you had numerous meetings to talk through that. There's only been minor changes in the budget since we first presented that to you in January. Those are articulated in the staff memo. I do have the full presentation from January available to us tonight, so if there's any aspects of the budget you wanted to dive back into, I'm happy to guide those discussions. But in the interest of time and recognizing that you've already spent hours and hours looking at this budget, we do not have a formal presentation.
Any questions for Jeff from council? Hearing none, we're going to go to the public. Anyone want to discuss this topic? If you're online, please raise your virtual hand. In council chambers, please come forth. Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved. Alter.
Second, Moe.
Council discussion.
I just want to give huge appreciation to the extraordinary hard work it is to put together the budget, let alone with the shifting sands of the state and of this council. No, I mean, this has just been immense, and as always, you have come out with a budget that we can work with, and really appreciate it. And, the fact that our essential services are not cut, that this is taking into account the long vision so that we will be able to ride the waves, even if they're really scary. That has been year after year, we've had that forecast, and year after year, we've done well, and that's because of the work that you guys have put into it, and then also all the departments really being disciplined and smart. And thank you.
Ditto.
Ditto. Yes.
Absolutely agree with all the comments. Thank you so much for staff. Thank you for the policies that you surface for us to consider and reconsider and talk about. I just want to be transparent with all of you and with the public. I think voting on the budget is one of the most important things that a counselor has to do. I take it very, very seriously. I think you all know that the past several years, I voted against the budget because of increasing investment in what I believe are known to be systems that are not optimizing safety and care in our community. And I have tremendous, tremendous respect for our police department, for all of the officers, for the city employees who serve the public every day and do the jobs that they are tasked with doing very, very well. And that being said, I maintain that we should not be increasing that investment, so I will again be voting against this budget.
I mirror everything that Councilor Burgess says, and it what does make me feel good about, especially what we just did. I feel like as a council, we agree on so much, so much. And I think that when it comes to like diversifying public safety, trying to get the best outcomes for the community, create the safest community we can, there's some disagreement on strategy on how to get there. But I think when it comes to, I believe in our ability to get there to a point, and hashing out the intricacies of what the fund could do that we established. We haven't been able to do that yet, so I think I'm in the same position as Councilor Burgess, and but I cannot imagine having to put together this budget. So thank you so much again. I enjoyed reading it, believe it or not. So, yeah, thank you.
So I want to understand that both Councilor Burgess and Councilor Wineline will not be voting for this current budget because of the police budget?
Because of the increase, yes.
Because of the increase. In years past, you have made a proposal to redirect a portion of the funds. Is that something you're doing this year?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
I don't think that, I think the mechanism for getting there to that point can't be hashed out right now in this moment. I think trying to get to a point was through that amendment earlier, but because of like the timing and everything, I was trying, for days and days and days trying to figure out how to vote on it. But I think that although I'm extremely grateful for staff's help, for council's willingness to be collaborative, that's just, we haven't invested enough in our community response. And I just think that it needs to be, that this is a way to just communicate that it is still an extremely important part of this part of the budget process for us. And so that's where I landed.
So normally I wouldn't make a comment, but as Councilor Burgess stated, the budget, the city's budget, is the most important, one of the most important things that this council gets to do throughout the entire year. And I do not believe that, respectfully, that you are not doing your job right now, where you should be advocating either for a reduction of the police budget, if that's what it should be, or you should be, making a statement and saying you don't agree with that increase, but at the end of the day, the entire community, if it was left up to you two right now, I am very sorry, but if it was left up to you two right now, we wouldn't have any budget to do the things that we would need to do in 2027. We have a bunch of road things to do. We have social services agencies that are dependent on us. And right now you're saying that you will not, and we've gone through this year after year, but I do not think that it's appropriate. I do not think that it's right. Again, if you want to not vote, that's your prerogative. But at the end of the day, I do believe that it is not doing your job, and because the community rely on us to come and approve a budget. At the end of the day, if you don't agree with items in it, I don't agree with everything in the budget myself, but either I can make a statement about it and still, approve it. I'm not saying that that's what you need to do, but I just want to say that I do not think that in this moment there's not been an alternative, a proposal to this council, except you're not going to vote. And I do think it's worth the time for you to make a proposal for this council to consider.
But not on the last day.
And I'm sorry, I'm a little emotional, only because this is, as stated, one of the critical parts of this council role is to consider the budget and, of course, make a vote.
Understood.
Can I ask a question about how much unspent money from the police budget was last year?
I'll have to see if I have that at my fingertips. I didn't bring that particular report.
Okay, and
I guess
I can share where the police budget is if you don't have that pulled up, but the general fund summary that you'd want to look at is on page 273. The original police budget for the current year that we were in is 18.6 million. And the fiscal year 27 recommendation is 18.6 as well. It's about a 0.25% decrease. That's largely because we moved auto purchases out of the operational budget and into the capital budget. But overall, this budget reflects a 0.25% decrease in the police budget in the general fund.
You mean this year we're not increasing it? It show decrease from last year?
Decreasing from the original budget that you adopted in this current year. However, we've pulled the vehicles out. We usually spend several $100,000 on patrol vehicle replacement every year. So what's different this year is that we pulled those vehicles out into the capital, which lowers the overall increase. We're still purchasing those, but it's coming out of a different fund.
Do you know how much is those?
It's usually up to about $500,000, a little bit lower.
Okay.
I'm getting 300,000 or so. So even if you put those vehicles back in, it would be a very small increase this year, probably less than 1%.
Sure. Just because every year when I look at it, I see like there is kind of surplus for the police budget.
Correct.
And do you just like in the top of your head, could you like remember roughly how much is it?
I think in a given year, we would, if I look back at the last few years, and I'm going to look for just kind of head nod fact check here, if I'm in the right ballpark, I think anywhere from 400,000 or 500,000 up to $1 million, 1.1, 1.2 million, somewhere in that range is typically what the police department would not spend out of their budget in a given year.
And this has been for how many years we've been seeing that?
It's probably been a little higher since 2020, and that's just because police staffing is a lot harder since 2020, so we have more vacancies that we aren't able to fill. So when we don't have positions filled, we have budgeted dollars for those positions, but we're spending less because they're not filled. So I couldn't tell you without doing the research what those numbers were pre-COVID, but my guess is those surpluses or those the unspent dollars in police budgets were a lot less before 2020, and they've increased since then simply because of staffing challenges.
Yeah. I guess thinking if we have like 1.5 million unspent every year for the past.
I wouldn't say 1.5 every
then?
year.
What the average?
I don't have those numbers. If I had to guess an average, and it's true, it's truly an educated guess, I would say 750, 800,000.
Sure. Then, I feel like there is money sitting there as not going to be spent all the time. We being told all the time when we want to do something, there is no money. And at this point, I would like to propose like 500,000 to be transferred from the police budget to the reserve.
Doesn't this work also that not every department, like the way budgets work and the way reconciliation works.
Before you continue,
Maybe that's
there is
not-
a motion, but I think our city attorney has a
Yes,
response.
exactly.
Right. I'm sorry, that would be illegal at this point. You could reduce it, just reduce it down, but.
Not transfer it to anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, got you. Okay, since we're not using that, can we reduce it by 500? Or just make it like 80 million?
Why are we doing this?
Yeah,
On
I'm
the
waiting.
last night, we've had 4 months.
I think-
don't know
I
how many
think-
meetings
I
we've
think
had.
this can be yes
and this
or
has
no.
never been raised before, not once. And the question has been asked, does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any comments that they want to bring? And we know that the police has been a point of contention for years. And no one has said
Respectfully,
anything
I
until
think-
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we need
think
to allow the motion to go forth.
I respect everybody like here in the council, and I think I can bring anything anytime, and it is up to you guys to say yes or no. Do I have a right to do that, city attorney?
Yes, you do.
Or there is a certain time I have to do that, or I can do it anytime?
You can do it now within those parameters that we discussed.
Exactly.
So
Then, I guess with like a lot of respect to you, Council Arthur, I was thinking about it, and I really don't know when I supposed to bring it, but now I ask my questions, and I would like to bring it. You have the right to say no to it.
So moved by
I'm sorry,
Sala.
I don't know what the motion was. I'm sorry.
Motion was to reduce the police budget by $500,000.
Jeff, can
Moved by
I
Sala.
ask something?
Could I get a second?
We need a second before we discuss.
I'll second it.
All right, seconded by Burgess. Discussion.
Can you explain part of the formula? Because we talked a lot about when it came to reserve funds and stuff like that. My understanding of that whole process and calculation really went up after all of those conversations. So can you explain, because as far as I know, when the money isn't unspent, it goes into specific reserves rather than just going into the general fund. There's a calculation where it goes some to emergencies, some to facilities, some to general fund. Is that correct?
Would be what you just amended.
There's not a specific calculation. It becomes a staff recommendation. So one thing to keep in mind is that your budget consists of numerous expenditure lines and revenue lines. So you may have a police budget that comes in, let's say, $500,000 under budget. You could have building permits that come in under budget. You could have hotel motel taxes, maybe a good example to use. We had 2 hotels closed this past fiscal year. We're not going to hit those numbers. So at the end of the year, we have to take dozens of revenue sources and probably thousands of expenditure lines and see where the total budget ends up. And then let's say we have a surplus of $1 million at the end of the fiscal year. What we would do is recommend to you how to use those surpluses. So first, we generally look to the general fund reserve. Is it at the top of our policy range, which is 35%? And then if it is, we take those and we say we're either going to place them in the emergency reserve or the facilities reserve, and that becomes a recommendation to council.
Oh, you mean we've been doing that? We've been like
Correct.
taking.
So
okay.
when we talk about the transfer, if you go back to your last item, the $162,000 and also the $5 million that's being transferred into the reserve fund, that's basically unspent dollars from all your departments, net of the revenues that the general fund relies on too. So if we have departments spending all their dollars and our revenues come in where they are, there is no money for whatever the reserve funds you want to create.
I just want
Our
to.
current policy also encourages all of our departments to be fiscally responsible, because if we have a policy where we defund them if they don't spend every penny that's been allocated, we end up wasting money. So it is a very bad policy to tell city departments, spend all your money, you're going to lose it. So I will absolutely not be supporting this.
I don't think that's what I meant. I asked many questions before that. I found out the police department, they have a lot of, most of the time, they have money less. The last thing I want to do is cut funding from the workers of the city, whether they are from the police department or from anywhere. But for me, I always care about affordable housing, and there is no money, and money sitting on a budget that is not going to be used and is not being used for years. That's today, if we want to buy houses, next year will be expensive, and this money will be sitting there until next year after their budget finished, and we can transfer this money to something else, where we can now allocate it to something else, and we can do it. So that's what I really mean by the money sitting there. I was not asking to cut down services or do something or reduce something. I'm just talking about after many questions I ask, this is being sitting there all the time. That's just I want you to understand exactly where I'm coming from. Yeah. Motion is the floor.
So I think when every department budget, they budget for what their needs are, essentially. And then realizing that all of those needs won't happen for various reasons, whether it's goods and services or staffing positions we know that staff come and go throughout the year, and there'll be a couple of months where, there's no staff in that role, so there's no payroll being paid. So there's a lot of parts that go into this. I don't believe that, isolating one department in this moment from the dais is appropriate, and especially not at this stage. And I also, I guess I'll just leave it at I won't be supporting that. And the majority of the increase that we see in all departments is really staff pay. It's just their annual things that are
in separate votes.
Yeah, things that are due to them. And I know you are a huge proponent for supporting the staff pay and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Insurance rates have skyrocketed.
Any other comments on this amendment proposal? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mo,
No.
Sala,
Yes.
Teague,
No?
Wyline,
Yes.
Alter,
No.
Burgess,
Yes.
Harmson.
No.
Motion fails, 4 to 3. 4 to 3. All right, we're going to move on, continuing with the original item, which is the public hearing for fiscal year 2027 budget. We already had a motion and it was moved and seconded. And so continue with council discussion at this time.
I'm ready to vote.
Hearing no more discussion, roll call, please.
Mo,
Yes.
Sala,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes?
Wyline,
No.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess,
No.
Harmson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5 to 2. All right. We are on to item number 9G, fiscal year 2027 utility rates public hearing, ordinance amending Title III entitled Finance, Taxation, and Fees, Chapter 4 entitled Schedule of Fees, Rates, Charges, Bonds, Fines, and Penalties. I'm going to open up the public hearing and welcome Jeff back again.
Okay, item 3 of 4 related to the budget approval. This is the beginning of the utility adjustments that are incorporated into the budgets. We have 2 recommended increase that was presented to you back in January. The first is a 3% increase in the water charge. That 3% increase in our water rate is estimated to generate just shy of $340,000 annually, and that's to help meet increased cost of the water division, including staffing, material cost, construction cost, et cetera. The second and final is the wastewater charge that shows up on your same utility bill if you receive one from the city. That 5% will generate an estimated $650,000 annually, and that is both for operations and to help with the debt service payments for the large digester and natural gas project, a renewable natural gas project that's currently underway that you've awarded.
Any questions for Jeff from council? Hearing none. Anyone from the public like to discuss this topic? Seeing no one in person or online, I'm going to close the public hearing. Could I get a motion to approve, please?
So
Alter.
Second, Mo.
All right, council discussion. Roll call, please.
Sala,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Wyline,
Yes.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo.
Yes.
Motion passes 7 to 0. Item number 9H, 3-year financial plan and 5-year capital improvement plan. Resolution approving the 3-year financial plan for City of Iowa City, Iowa, and the 5-year capital improvement plan. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved, Mo.
Second, Sally.
All right, and Jeff Ruin.
Okay, this one does not require a public hearing. It's a resolution. You have approved the fiscal year 26 amendment, the 27 budget. This one encapsulates the entire planning period for our budget, which is the 26 to 28 financial plan and the 26 to 30 CIP plan. And again, this was all presented to you as part of that January budget proposal.
Any questions for Jeff? Hearing none. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? Seeing no one online or in person, council discussion. Roll call, please.
Teague,
Yes.
Wyline,
Yes.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo,
Yes.
Sala.
Yes.
Motion passes 7 to 0. 9I, 2026C, GO Bond Resolution, GO Bond, resolution directing sale of $15,370,000 of general obligation bonds, Series 2026C. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So move, Burgess.
Second. Alter.
All right, and then we're going to have some financial staff come before us. Welcome.
Jacqueline Flegel, Assistant Finance Director. So we're going to be covering the next three items, so 9I, 9J, and 9K. We had our bond sale earlier today. We had two issues, the 2026C and 2026D. Maggie Berger is online from Spear Financial. She's our municipal advisor. She'll kind of walk you through some more details from the bond sale. But before I pass it off to her, I just wanted to mention that item 9K is a resolution authorizing the redemption of the 2016E bonds. They were revenue bonds being paid back by TIF, and we were refunding them, calling them early and refunding with the 2026D, and it will also be paid by TIF and debt service. So I'll pass it off to Maggie at this time.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm Maggie Berger with Spear Financial. In front of you or in your packets this evening, we did have two bond sales, as Jacqueline referred to. The 2026C bond sale was for $15,370,000. We did receive 9 bids. That is a record for Iowa City in the most recent 9 to 10 years. I think that shows us a little insight into the economy, but the bigger part is you did maintain your AAA rating from the rating agency. That is the highest rating in the United States. So we're very happy about that. That does bring bidders to the table. That does buy and sort of bring down that interest rate based on competition. We are recommending that you would award this evening to R. Sealis and Company out of New Jersey at a true interest rate of 2.9970. This is a 10-year bond for your capital improvements projects. This bond is tax exempt, as we've discussed before, meaning that the investors, the people that are lending you the money, when they get their interest payments, they will not pay federal income tax on that. That is the structure of a tax-exempt bond situation. Again, your rating was upheld at that AAA rating. They talk heavily, all rating agencies like cash, so they're very excited that you have cash on hand. That could have some flexibility to it. Although some cash funds are restricted, there is some cash funds that you have that would have some flexibility in case of emergency situations. One thing that they always talk about is if your available fund balances dropped pretty dramatically, or your cash ratio materially dropped as well, that could lead to a possible downgrade. So we always just pull and bring that to everyone's attention. The bonds today did have a premium on them, so that premium is pretty significant. The price, instead of the $15,370,000, it is $16,557,357.30. As you've seen in the past, the premium means the difference between the interest rates that they are bidding, which are 5% and 4% interest rates, and then what they are giving you in premium dollars to buy that interest rate down to that 2.99, that true interest rate, which is what we award off of. Those extra dollars, as you've seen those dollars in the past, can be used on your projects. That is how they've been used in the past. I believe that's likely how they will be used this year as well. The final debt service schedule for $15,370,000 over that 10-year period. These bonds would be callable after the payment of June 1st, 2033. They would be callable on that date or any date after that date. And that just means the last 3 principal amounts would be callable. That really means the call date is at your option only. That means if the city does not want to call the bonds in, they do not have to call the bonds in. They can just continue to make those payments, those final 3 principal and interest payments. You could pay off at that time. You could pay down at that time. So if you had partial dollars to pay on those bonds, or again, you could just keep them as they are. If we do a refunding because of lower interest rates, we usually are only refunding out to the original maturity date of that existing bond. So that is the 2026C proposal. If you would like, I'd like to walk through the 2026D proposal and then take any questions on either of them that you have.
All right, you can go through the next one.
Thank
And
you very
welcome, by
much.
the way.
So, the second proposal that we have in front of you tonight is for the refunding bonds, as Jacqueline referred to them. It's been quite a number of years since we've seen refundings. You'll recall there were many refundings done when we were in 1% and 2% interest rates. At the federal level, we've not been seeing those interest rates. But as mentioned, what we are doing here is we are taking a tax increment financing revenue bond. It was a taxable bond to begin with in 2016. We are refunding it out with general obligation bonds. It is the intent that the majority of that debt will continue to be paid with TIF revenues. The reason that we are conducting this refunding, that original 2016 bond issue had a interest rate reset date as of June 1st of 2026. Today's interest rate, if it were to reset today, it's a treasury yield, it's a 10-year treasury yield plus a percentage is what the agreement called for in 2016. That interest rate today would be a 5.92% interest rate versus the interest rate that you had on existing debt of around 3% or 3.5%. So there'd be quite a large increase, which is what we took in figuring out the refunding. We would recommend that we would award to Robert W. Baird of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. There was a small premium of about $96,000 on this issuance. The true interest rate is a 4.30% interest rate, higher than the other interest rate that we just talked about. These are taxable bonds, so the interest paid to the investors those investors will pay federal income tax. Your gross savings today is $397,000 by doing the refunding, $397,513. But we have net present value savings, which kind of takes into consideration, we'll call it the aging of money over the next 10 years that these bonds are outstanding. That net present value savings is $571,654, which is a pretty significant savings. That's about 7.03% of those refunded notes that we're talking about here. We did have, we did have 5 bids received. Some of the same bidders, some different bidders from the first issuance. Again, due to the taxability, these bonds would carry the same AAA rating because they are general obligation bonds. And just as we stated, this call date, because it has a little bit, it is paid with TIF revenues, we made this call date 1 year shorter on June 1st of 2032. That just means that at that time, if there are revenues ahead, again, this debt could be paid off, could be paid in full, in part, could be refunded, but the interest rates at that time are a little lower than the first part of the interest rate. So with that, I'd answer any questions that you have on either of the issuances today, but we would recommend you move forward with both resolutions, 9I and 9J, as well as 9K, which is really the redemption notice that is required to be passed after 9J.
Great. Thank you, Maggie. Are there any questions for Jacqueline or Maggie by council? Hearing none. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? Seeing no one online or in person, council discussion. Thank God for the AAA rating. All right. Roll call, please.
Wyline?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Moe?
Yes.
Sala?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. We're on to 9J, which is 2026D Go Bond Resolution. Resolution directing sale of $8,130,000 for the General Obligation Bond Series 2026D. Motion to approve, please.
So moved, Mo.
Second, Saleh.
All right, and staff already gave comments on this, so we won't have them come back. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this item? Seeing no one online with their virtual hand raised or in person. Council discussion. Roll call, please.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo,
Yes.
Sala,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Wyline.
Yes. I don't know why I said yes when
I know.
like I was.
You did. We
My head
traded
was out there,
places
yeah.
last time. Motion passes 7-0. All right, 9K, early call of the 2016 taxable urban renewal revenue bonds. Resolution authorizing the redemption of the outstanding taxable urban renewal revenue capital loan notes. Series 2016 of the City of Iowa City, State of Iowa, dated September 15, 2016, and direct notice be given. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved, Burgess.
Second, Alter.
All right. And no additional comments from the staff on this item either. And so anyone from the public like to address this? Seeing no one online or in person. Council discussion. Roll call, please.
Burgess,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo,
Yes.
Sala,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Wyline,
Yes.
Alter.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. We're at 9L, alcohol license renewal and premises update.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Once again, I am going to be recusing myself from this item because it was alleged that I have a conflict of interest in consulting with our council. I'm not required to recuse myself, but to avoid the appearance of impropriety, I will be sitting this one out.
All right, so we are having Councilor Burgess recuse herself on this item. And we are adjusting a little bit. We're going to welcome a different attorney with us today.
Mohammed.
Yes. Mohammed Sharanik.
That's very good.
All right, please pronounce it.
And if it's easier for you, just say Mo Sharanik.
Sharanik.
And I'm happy to be here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome, Attorney Mo Sharanik. So we're at item number 9L, which is alcohol license renewal and premises update, Union Bar and Grill. Resolution disapproving the issuance of an alcohol license to 118 South Clinton LLC, DBA Union Bar and Grill. And could I get a motion to first accept correspondence?
So moved, Mo.
Second, Alter.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. And we're going to get started with item number 1, which is the hearing. And so we're going to bring up our first assistant city attorney at this time to do a presentation. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jennifer Shugrath, First Assistant City Attorney. 118 South Clinton LLC has filed to renew the Class C alcohol license for the Union Bar and Grill located at 118 South Clinton Street. 118 South Clinton LLC has also filed a premises update to change the premises covered by the alcohol license. The current license covers the second floor and the basement, and the premises update is requesting the inclusion of the first floor. Iowa City Ordinance 4-2-3 provides for the local review of applications, which includes review by the fire chief, police chief, and building official. The ordinance requires that if there is a recommendation to disapprove the renewal application, it must be set forth by memo from one of the officials no later than 7 days prior to the expiration of the current license. The Union Bar and Grill's current license expires on April 30, 2026, and the building official's memo recommending disapproval is dated April 14, 2026, which is more than 7 days prior to the expiration of the license. After a timely memo recommending disapproval, Iowa City Ordinance 4-2-4 requires that the licensee be given notice and an opportunity to be heard on the disapproval. 118 South Clinton LLC received the notice of hearing on disapproval of applications for renewal and premises update with the building official's memo and attachments by email on April 14, 2026. These materials are included in your council packet. and they were also sent by first-class mail on April 14, 2026, which is at least 6 days prior to tonight's hearing, as required by Iowa City Ordinance 4-2-4. The memo and the notice and opportunity for hearing in this matter are timely. If after the hearing this evening, Council disapproves the renewal of the alcohol license and the premises update, the licensee can appeal the disapprovals to the Iowa Department of Revenue. If appealed, the license for the second floor and basement remains valid. However, the first floor will not be licensed because it was not included in the initial license. The building official for this purpose is Development Services Coordinator Danielle Sitzman. Coordinator Sitzman will now present the memo and recommendation for disapproval because the Union Bar and Grill is in violation of the city zoning code that restricts the location of drinking establishments.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Danielle Sitzman. In summary of my memo, just to state, the Union Bar and Grill at 118 South Clinton Street is located in the CB10 Central Business Zone within the University Impact Area. Although it was initially classified as an eating establishment use based on a verified statement submitted with the liquor license application, which stated that it would close by midnight, it has not operated in accordance with that statement. Based on its actual operations, including holding a Class C liquor license and regularly remaining open between midnight and 2 a.m., the business meets the zoning definition of a drinking establishment use. Under the current Iowa City zoning code, drinking establishments in the CB10 zone within the University Impact Area must be located at least 500 feet from another drinking establishment. The Union Bar and Grill is located within 500 feet of other existing drinking establishments and therefore does not meet the required separation standard. Because the current use is not permitted at this location under the zoning code, the liquor license should not be renewed, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other comments at this time?
No.
From our staff? Okay. All right, so we're going to invite up the licensee comments and presentation at this time. Welcome.
Mr. Mayor and City Council members, I'm Richard Davidson. I'm an attorney representing the liquor license applicant in this case. I have a few comments. First of all, this is a little bit deja vu. This is the exact same issue that we had 2 months ago with the field house. The matter is now in front of the district court. It has been appealed to the district court. The district court has established a schedule and will make a ruling sometime toward the end of May or early June. Therefore, this process is a little bit like beating your head against the wall because it feels good when you stop. This decision that you make tonight will have no impact because the court will decide this issue in the Fieldhouse case. And until it is decided, I don't know why we're here. Apparently staff and the council are mad at Mr. Barkalow and his business partner, but that is not a good reason. We have a disagreement about what the ordinance says in comparison to what state law allows. The court will decide that issue. There's nothing illegal or immoral about disagreeing on the legal consequences of statutory provisions. And it is a little bit disheartening to think that that people would present that as some kind of immoral or illegal action. It's a legal disagreement. This is why we have judges and courthouses. And that's where we are. We've been in front of a judge. We're now going in front of another judge at the courthouse. If either of us don't like the outcome, we'll probably be in Des Moines at the Court of Appeals or the Iowa Supreme Court. But that's the way the process works. That is how the legal system works. We're not trying to gain an unfair advantage. We are trying to follow the law. The city is, of course, not trying to gain an unfair advantage. It's trying to follow the law. We disagree about what the law says. Again, as I said, that's why we have judges and courthouses. There are 3 branches of government, and the third branch, the judicial branch, will decide the outcome of this matter. So, as I said, this is a little bit premature. There isn't any reason for us to be here tonight, other than the city is mad at Mr. Barkalow, as far as I can tell. Secondly, I don't understand the provision that the city has included in the memo about the premises update. Of course, no evidence was presented here at the hearing on behalf of the city that the facility cannot operate on the first floor. The reason the facility was not operating on the first floor was because the assistant city attorney sent a letter in your packet dated August 1, 2025, quoting an ordinance 4-2-2B, which was repealed. Is that correct? Has that ordinance
You
been
can
repealed?
speak to us up here, thank you.
Well, it's a hearing. I can ask questions.
If you can speak to us, thank you.
This is the same issue that we had on the field house. So the building, the certificate of occupancy permit has been granted for the whole building. There is no reason that the premises cannot be operated on the first floor other than the assistant city attorney sent a letter dated August 1, 2025, claiming that the premises could not be operated on more than one floor because of the ordinance 4-2-2B, which no longer exists. So that's the only reason that the premises are not being operated on the first floor. So no matter what you do with the license and the 500 feet, in the first instance, you should really break out the issue of what they've characterized as the premises update, in that the council is not, there is nothing before the council that would allow the council to determine that the premises cannot be operated on the first floor. As I said earlier, the only reason it is not being operated on the first floor is because of the action of the city staff in the process of obtaining the liquor license earlier in the process. That's now changed. This is the same exact issue that we had on the field house. So that matter should be separated out and removed from the resolution. And I know what you're going to do on the 500 feet. You're going to support your ordinance. I understand that. And it's going to go to the State Liquor Commission in Des Moines, and it's going to be stayed until the district court decides the issue in the Fieldhouse case. And that's all fine. Again, that's part of the legal process. But I think lumping the first floor issue in with the 500-foot issue, those aren't the same things. There is no provision in the Iowa City zoning code that says you cannot operate a bar or restaurant on the first floor. The only reason it wasn't included was because of the correspondence that had taken place earlier before the premises were opened. That has been updated. The building plans have been submitted to the city. The building permit has been closed. The certificate of occupancy has been granted, so that there is no reason for the city council to even address that portion of this matter. So then that leaves you with the issue of, is the premises being operated as under your definitions in your ordinance as a drinking establishment or as a restaurant establishment? We've talked about that in the Fieldhouse case, and I won't belabor it. The issue is, does the state code supersede the provisions of the local ordinance, or does the local ordinance control? that's the issue that the district court and ultimately the court in Des Moines is going to answer for us, and we're all going to live with the result. So those are our thoughts. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Any questions from the council to either our city staff or to the licensee that just presented?
I'd like to hear from the officer just about what they witnessed and how many times they saw.
Okay. Welcome.
Specifically related to times.
Good evening. Rob Cashhouse, City Police Department. I'm the lieutenant for the late night watch, primarily hours from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I've been assisting with the observation of the closing times. In addition to the memo that's in your packet over this last weekend, the union was observed being operated till 2 in the morning as a closing time. That's usually regular observation of Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, which are typically heavier bar times in the downtown district. They are open past the midnight and usually closing down between 1:30 and 2 a.m. depending on crowd size.
Okay. Multiple times?
What's that?
Multiple times where you saw it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Great, thank you. Any other questions by council? Only if the council calls you up. Yep. Any other questions by council?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I'm looking at the language of the resolution, and Mr. Barcolow's attorney mentioned that there is a reference to the first floor ordinance in our resolution, and I don't see that.
Yeah.
The resolution that I see before me specifically discusses the 500-foot rule. I don't see any reference to the first floor use. Is that something that somebody can point out to me? Because I don't see it. I heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm only interested in where in our resolution that is
Well, I don't know where that.
supposedly
I
listed.
think what they're saying is on the first floor, the premise has been denied. The premise permit is separate from the alcohol license renewal.
So it's
But our resolution is only concerned with
yeah, our
the
resolution is
500
concerned with
foot.
the 500-foot
No,
rule.
it's both.
No,
if you-
it's not in the resolution.
Yes, it is.
Where?
Where?
That's the
At
question.
the end of section 2, where it says, and disapproves the premises update to add the first floor.
The left hand out.
And the first floor was on the original building permit.
So the second clause of item 2 says the council hereby disapproves the issuance of the Class C alcohol license to 118 South Clinton LLC, DBA Union Bar and Grill, and disapproves the premises update to add the first floor, which that's the part I'm indicating is not before you and should be removed.
The premise update is a separate matter, and what it does is it effectively, if you look at the building permit that we have, and I'd be happy to share that with you because I brought it tonight. If I could hand this out to the council, I'd be happy to share this with you.
Could I get a motion to accept correspondence?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Saleh, seconded by Mo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
I've got a packet of information there, just again, the ordinances, the laws, the state laws, the certificate of occupancy. But if you go back to the last 2 pages, the building permit labeled A was issued on March 24, 2025, so that was last year. And in the description, it includes the first floor, the second floor, the cactus space, everything's included. Yet, just this afternoon, I pulled the same permit up, and you'll see the same permits in B. Somebody went in from the city and removed all that information from the city permit. So, but the original permit is Part A, and Part B is somebody from the city removing the information, including the first floor, on the city's website, which is a little bit odd. But you'll see the certificate of occupancy, which means they deleted the information that was there. The building plan itself that was submitted on July 22nd, 2025, included the first floor. We had a memo come from the city stating that we did not file that with the online premise permit update, which there's 2 steps with the alcohol licensing. when you change your floor plan or do anything with your floor plan, you submit a premise update. You should actually be voting on two things tonight, not one. We tried to get this on the March 10th meeting last month. The city staff refused to put it on there for the premise update. We tried to get it on the April 7th agenda. The city staff refused to put it on the agenda. And then tonight they lumped them together to confuse you. There's two different situations here. One is the approval of the floor plan, which they knew as of July 22nd, 2025, that we were going to use the first floor. What they're saying is the upstairs is only approved, not the first floor, which is nonsense. Our kitchen's on the first floor, so you're telling us we don't have to cook food now, or not a restaurant, we don't have to use that space. I mean, staff is making this so confusing and doing everything they can to financially harm our business. It's not even funny, and not follow the state law. But it is two separate matters. I would suggest the council separate it to a premise permit update and approve that tonight, saying that we can use the floor plan that was submitted unapproved by city staff all the way up to city attorney's office knows that this was all approved. Building department issued the certificate of occupancy for the whole entire space right here for that plan that's being asked to be updated tonight, just because it was technically not put in at the right time. And city staff knew that and didn't come to us. They filed a complaint with the Iowa Department of Revenue trying to harm our business again instead of talking to us about it. And just so you know, you sit here and say that the enforcement of this ordinance is against our two businesses. Since this ordinance was placed in business, Reunion Bar and Grill, Reunion Brewery, whatever you want to call it, Jim Montanaro's business, is a drinking establishment within 500 feet of other drinking establishments. That was implemented after this ordinance went into effect. So he's being treated differently than we are. The View Rooftop is within 500 feet of other 500-foot businesses. Double Tap has been allowed to stay open past midnight on several occasions with city permission. So that's a violation of the city ordinance. You're not treating all the businesses fairly or applying the code fairly either, or across the board efficiently. You can see on the certificate of occupancy, it says restaurants or nightclubs. It says 118 South Clinton Street, which is the entire building, and it also has that same building permit number on it that miraculously now doesn't have on the city's website the first floor listed that was originally on the first floor. So there's a lot of stuff going on at City Hall that I'd be questioning if I were you guys, because we're sure going to, and we're going to find out what's going on through the courts. We will be in court, unfortunately. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, may I approach?
Yes, you may.
To provide some clarifications to the statements that have been made. So there are two different, there is both the renewal and the premises update. And the recommendation is to disapprove both of those based on the 500-foot ordinance. The resolution does not include any cites to that restaurant ordinance because it does not apply. So the recommendation is to disapprove both of them based on the 500-foot ordinance. The renewal was filed with the state on March 11th of 2026. It stayed in the state's dram shop review, which is a stage at which the city cannot do anything, and that's between the state and the licensee and their insurer to take care of what they need to take care of to get dram shop insurance on file. So the renewal was not actually in local authority review status until April 2nd of 2026. And then the premises update was filed on April 3rd of 2026. And that went into local review status on April 3rd of 2026, which that would have been the Thursday and Friday before the last meeting, which is why they did not go on that agenda. In regards to, I think there's a little bit of confusion regarding that August 1st, 2025 letter. So at that time, the city, the Union Bar and Grill got their license before they actually started operating. And so they had their alcohol license before August 1st of 2025. They were not operating, but they had submitted to the city, to the building department, that they were going to also renovate the first floor. Although obviously the building piece and the alcohol license piece are both handled by the city, there's an alcohol there's alcohol ordinances, and there's also a zoning code. This letter was sent to notify the licensee at the time. It's the same licensee, that just submitting that to the building department was not sufficient for updating the premises with the state for the liquor license. That was not done in August. It wasn't done until it was filed in April of 2026, which is why the original license only includes the second floor and the basement. The city wouldn't have the ability to amend with the state somebody's premises. That would be up to the licensee because they have to show that they have control of the premises. They also have to be able to show that they have the appropriate dram shop insurance. If there's any other clarifications I can provide, I'm happy to do so.
Can you talk a little bit about his statement about other bars that we allow them to go? Is that statement is true, or what do you think?
Are you referring to the Reunion Brewery?
No, he said like other businesses.
That's one of them he mentioned.
Yeah, one of them, yeah.
Okay, so I believe that that falls under one of the exceptions to the 500-foot ordinance, and I'm not going to remember exactly, but it has to do if it's if it's a building that has been empty and it has a historical designation. I might not have those words exactly correct, but then you are allowed to have a drinking establishment. So that is falling within one of the exceptions to the 500-foot ordinance. My understanding of the view is I believe that falls as accessory use because it's in the hotel. So it's a different, so that complies with the zoning code in a different way. The other establishment, Double Tap, there, as you know, our language in the ordinance says that drinking establishments are regularly open from midnight to 2 a.m. So there is some flexibility, that's my understanding, was intended to allow, with city permission, some businesses to be open, for example, like for New Year's Eve. So they would be requesting permission, and there is a policy that if they request the permission, they can be open. I think it's limited to 10 times a year, and it can't be more than 2 consecutive days, and it can't be more than 3 times a month.
Sorry, the view is considered a accessory?
I think that's the term in the zoning code.
Okay, I was confused. I thought maybe the 500-foot rule didn't apply vertically or something.
No, it has to do with the use, the fact that the hotel is the main use.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions by council? All right, we're going to move on to item 2, which is considered the resolution. Could I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved, Harmson.
Second, Wyline.
Council discussion.
I think, why we are here, just so everybody understands this, is because the 500-foot setback is one of a raft of laws, ordinances, and policies the city has to look after the health and safety and well-being of people, especially in the downtown. And this clearly violates that, and so this, it's very clear-cut, and so I will be voting for this resolution.
Piece of information that sticks out in my mind is the verified statement that says, I understand that this will be used by the city to determine whether my business is an eating establishment or drinking establishment, and it says, I'm only open until midnight. And that's never been what's happened, so it's been a drinking establishment since the beginning.
Yeah.
And I'll just say, if there's one thing I know about when it comes to these types of situations in my year of being on council and working with our staff, there's no picking on certain people. that happens in that regard for the sake of picking on them. Just wanted to put that out there. Everybody is following the same rules.
And I will just say that this is a part of that legal process that, to answer the question of why are we here? And this is a part of the process that this council goes through when there is such a situation as that's like this before us right now. So,
Violation of our ordinances.
yeah.
The order that we create.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, even though if the state later,
It's still our ordinance.
because that's what make me like things we need to follow what we create.
Yeah. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo,
Yes.
Sala,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Wyline,
Yes.
Alter.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. All right, and we'll bring in Councilor Burgess back and our city attorney.
Feel free to go ahead. I'm just kidding.
Good job, Mo.
Okay.
The less I say, the better.
You all can both go.
It took me a second when you guys said yes, because I had to
I know, me too.
very
I had to
quickly
double
say
check.
resolution to disapprove.
Right, right. I did the same thing. I triple checked
Negative.
before I answered, just because I was paranoid.
You said yes, and I immediately looked up the, to make sure I had that right.
I feel you.
It would have been anybody, it just happened to be you.
I understand.
Just we're going to run out of the alphabet.
Now, once we get to the letter 9Z, we have to quit.
Amen, brother.
Are we taking a break?
A long night.
Perhaps.
Mike?
Are we taking a break, Mr. Mayor? Or is this just an impromptu? I have no opinion. Just asking.
We're going to do a 5-minute recess. We'll be back. All right, we are going to continue with our meeting. We're moving on to item number 9M, Article of Incorporation for a Housing Authority nonprofit. Resolution authorizing the filing of Articles of Incorporation to establish a nonprofit entity to advance the purposes of the Housing Authority of the City of Iowa City. Could I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved, Mo.
You're welcome.
All right.
Wait.
Good evening, councilors.
Wait,
Oh.
I'm sorry. Moved by Mo, seconded by Alter. Welcome, Tracy.
Tracy Heishi, Neighborhood Development Services Director. So at your last work session, if you remember, we had Dave Bright from the University of Iowa Nonprofit Resource Center talk to us about what it would be involved in creating a nonprofit that supports our housing authority. So I wanted to take you, this is 2 years ago, just to remind you about why we're pursuing this path. So why we're repositioning. So we're not collecting enough revenue to maintain our public housing program, which has 86 units in it. Over the last 5 years, we've averaged an annual loss of approximately $245,000. Over 5 years, that's almost it's over $1 million. The reason why we've been able to support this amount of loss every year is because decades ago, probably in the 1990s, like the few things that were before me, we sold public housing units. And so we have very healthy reserves, but it's not sustainable to keep going into reserves every year to maintain our properties. And public housing, it's not a good trend. Naomi from our Harvard fellow, she provided this chart. So basically, over the last 20 years, HUD has supported the Section 8 programs. We've seen continual increases in Section 8. But for public housing, we are not collecting enough revenue to sustainably operate our program. So the benefits of repositioning is to get us out of the public housing program so that we can generate more revenue to basically sustain our portfolio. And actually, by creating a nonprofit, which is a requirement of the repositioning options we're looking at, we're eligible, as we go into develop new properties, to take advantage of other additional federal and state programs like the Federal Home Loan Bank, LIHTC, workforce housing tax credits, because they either require or they strongly prefer that you're working through an LLC or a nonprofit. We are going to use, kind of like under a time crunch, because to apply for the workforce housing tax credits for a $1 million benefit for the North Summit Street project, we have to at least have a co-developer, and that's at nonprofit. So we're kind of seeing if we can get to that by the deadline. The benefits of moving to a Section 8 platform. You're all familiar with housing choice vouchers. It increases our project revenue significantly. So when Quadell looked at what this would mean to us, it was about an increase of $569,000. So not only would we cover our operating expenses, we have more money to invest and to maintain our housing programs. It's also, instead of having a public housing program and a housing choice voucher program, we basically have a housing choice voucher program, and it simplifies our program administration. And right now, under the repositioning options that we're targeting, you get a certain number of tenant protection vouchers. And so in addition, we have our units, we'd have tenant protection vouchers, and just a little bit about revenue sources between the programs. So with public housing, you get rent collection. And so if the 30% of our tenants' income is $50, we get $50 for rent. And we rely on the HUD capital funds and HUD operating subsidy to make up how much we can. That's our budget for the year. And we're spending it's a huge dependence on an unstable source of income because it's federal aid and it's not sufficient. It keeps going down. Whereas with the Section 8 program, we get rent collection. The same tenant pays us $50, but we take the payment standard of a voucher and we're getting that every month. It's a huge difference in reliable income. Let's say someone takes, after a year, they take their tenant protection voucher and move away. Then we're renting that unit at probably the fair market rent or the payment standard, where we're diversifying our income source, but we're still getting the full amount of rent. So it's a huge difference. And then with those tenant protection vouchers, we also get paid administrative fee. So we're having different revenues coming in from different points. So our public housing repositioning path, we thought at the very beginning of this, it'd be streamlined conversion through HUD. HUD took that one away. So then we had to go back and look at what repositioning path were still available to us. So it is looking like we will either do a Section 8 disposition, a RAD project, or kind of a blended approach. So either of those two, we have to create an LLC or nonprofit. We felt a nonprofit represented what we wanted to do the best because a nonprofit that's dedicated to the housing authority ensures long-term mission-based ownership. It satisfies HUD's requirement for how we operate our affordable housing. And we actually have to create that nonprofit before we apply to the HUD Special Application Center, which we call the SAC office. So the concern is, and the concern is shared not just by legal staff, council, is how do we optimize control? Because we wanted a housing authority affiliate that just serves the interests of the housing authority, basically the city. So in the Articles of Incorporation and the bylaws, it states that we are operating exclusively for the benefit of, support of, and assist in carrying out the purpose of the housing authority. After taking some of your comments from the last meeting, we amended the bylaws to 5 board members, 3 are Iowa City Housing Authority related. Director may be removed at any time by a vote of the 3 out of the 5. And then Eric and I had a meeting today with an attorney out of Chicago that specializes in repositioning, tax credits, affordable housing finance. It alleviated a lot of my concerns. I don't know what it did for Eric, but a lot of the concerns about control were assisted. We'll look for different ways, we'll explore different ways about how we control the property, how the housing authority manages that property at the time of property sale. All those things come back to you. The application comes back to you before we can apply to the SAC office. Before we can dispose of any property or sell it to the nonprofit, it has to come back for you for approval. So the Articles of Incorporation, that is what you're reviewing tonight. If you give us the approval to file those, we'll file those, and then the bylaws come later. Am I missing anything, Eric?
No, you've got it all.
All right. And then if you have any questions, there's only 6 slides. That's my whole presentation.
The one thing I would mention that came out of our meeting earlier today with the attorney who brought some expertise to bear, expertise that I will make clear I lack, was that he thought it would be likely that we would want the nonprofit to pursue 501c3 status, and that we would likely want to add the word charitable to the purpose, that is, to assist in carrying out the charitable purposes of the housing authority and so forth. So certainly we think of that as a non-substantive change, but we want to alert you that we would be adding that language to to the Articles of Incorporation. And as Tracy already implied or made reference to, it would be the board itself that adopts the bylaws later on. But given the council's comments, we did want to propose those changes about going from 2/3 to 3/5.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Thank you.
No, that's great. Thank you. Make it more better.
Any questions for staff from council?
Just to clarify, you don't need us to make a motion for those changes. that you just mentioned?
No, because the resolution indicated that it would be something similar in substance. I think I gave myself a little bit of wiggle room, and I think that adding the word charitable is within that room.
Groovy. Thanks.
Great, thank you.
I have a question that I think is for Eric. Is now the time for that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So within the purpose, and for you as well, Tracy, and for you, Megan, as one of the board members, if we approve this, within the purpose, the very last part, the facilities and services for low-income persons and families, because of how we've been talking about what like the development arm of the housing authority might be, and that are we limiting our ability to have market rate housing in our portfolio if we say that? It's just a question. I don't know.
It's a good
but-
question. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what I would say in response is two things. One, that's a good question for us to pose to the attorney with whom we spoke earlier today to see if that causes any problems. Two, worst comes to worst, if he says, good heavens, yeah, you'll need to, change that purpose language in order to accommodate that kind of development, we can reincorporate. We can do an amended articles of incorporation and fix that pretty quickly.
I think I would see it as even the market rate units or the higher income units contribute to the charitable cause that is our housing,
that is supporting low income.
That is supporting
people
low income
and
people.
households.
That's how I
true.
interpret it, but
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer.
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions by council? Hearing none, anyone from the public like to address this topic? If you're online, please raise your virtual hand. All right, seeing no one, council discussion.
This is great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Really exciting.
Thank you for changing it, like the board and the city.
The control.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Control.
Roll call, please.
Mo?
Yes.
Sala?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Wyline?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. 9N, assessment schedule, resolution adopting an assessment schedule of unpaid mowing, cleanup of property, snow removal, sidewalk repair, and stop box repair charges, and directing the city clerk to certify the same to the Johnson County Treasurer for a collection in the same manner as property taxes. Could I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved, Wyline.
Second, Sally.
Moved by Wyline, seconded by Saleh. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? If you're online, please raise your virtual hand. Seeing no one online or in person, council discussion. Roll call, please.
Sala?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Wyline?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Mo?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. We're on to item number 10, which is announcement of vacancies previous. 10A, Airport Commission, 2 vacancies to fill 4-year terms. Historic Preservation Commission, 2 vacancies for an at-large representative to fill 3-year terms. Historic Preservation Commission, 1 vacancy for a Longfellow representative to fill a 3-year term. Historic Preservation Commission, 1 vacancy for a North Side representative to fill 3-year term. Housing and Community Development Commission, 2 vacancies to fill 3-year terms. Parks and Recreation Commission, 1 vacancy to fill an unexpired term. Planning and Zoning Commission, 2 vacancies to fill 5-year terms. Public Art Advisory Committee, 1 vacancy for an at-large representative to fill a 3-year term. Applications must be received by 5 p.m. Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. Airport Zoning Board of Adjustment, 1 vacancy to fill a 5-year term. Airport Zoning Board of Adjustment, 1 vacancy to fill a 5-year term. Board of Appeals, 1 vacancy for a licensed electrician to fill a 5-year term. Board of Appeals, 1 vacancy for an HVAC professional to fill an unexpired term. Historic Preservation Commission, 1 vacancy for a Brown Street representative to fill a 3-year term. Historic Preservation Commission, 1 vacancy for a Jefferson Street representative to fill a 3-year term. Historic Preservation Commission, 1 vacancy for a Woodlawn Avenue representative to fill a 3-year term. Vacancies will remain open until filled. Item number 11 is City Council information.
Would like to say thank you to the various community organizations who have stepped up to do things like hold vigils and meetings for people affected by this weekend shooting. We just learned of another one tonight from our university representative about that going on. So a thank you and a recognition to those people, and just a recognition and thank you to the various agencies we have here locally who are available as our community tries to deal with this, whether it's the Community Violence Intervention Program, Community Crisis, all of those kinds of organizations, and letting people know that as a parent of college students, I definitely feel for what this means for people that are both in our community and around our community. I would also like to thank our first responders, certainly our EMS, but our police officers who were quickly on the scene the other night and were pulling up and running towards when they heard the sound of gunshots and immediately had an all-hands-on-deck response. And the many hours of overtime that I know that are happening behind the scenes right now as they try to track down what happened and deal with this situation and keep our community safe. So they also have my gratitude. I do want to apologize for if they come away from watching tonight's meeting thinking that this council does not have gratitude for them. I hope they remember the majority of the people that sit up here vote based on ideas, not dogmatic ideology, and we deal with the facts as we have in front of us, not some predisposed idea that we need to punish our local police. And so I just wanted to say that and have that on the record.
All right. We're going to move on to item number 12, which is report on items from our city staff, city manager's office, city attorney.
No, thank you.
City clerk. We're going to move to item number 13. Could I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved. Alter.
Second, Sally.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We're adjourned. Have a good night.